Friday, low 70s on Saturday, and near 70 on Sunday.
1819 News.
The Conservative Political Action Conference, known as CPAC, occurred last week. During that time, a straw poll was taken of those attending the event in which they were asked who was their favorite conservative senator. U.S. Senator Tommy Tuberville for the state of Alabama came in as fourth favorite U.S. senator overall. The other top three were Senators Rick Scott of Florida, Rand Paul of Kentucky, and Ted Cruz of Texas coming in as number one. The poll was conducted among 1,022 people who were at CPAC in Washington, D.C. I'll be back with more Alabama stories after this.
Are you enjoying 1819 News? If so, consider joining 1819 News as a member. As a nonprofit news organization, we depend on the support of Alabamians like you. Memberships start out as little as $5 a month, and you'll get access to exclusive content only offered to our members. You'll be supporting independent journalism done by people who cherish Alabama values. Become a member today by visiting 1819news.com and clicking Become a Member. That's 1819news.com and click Become a Member today.
An Alabama man facing multiple murder charges has had that number increased. Damian McDaniel is now facing 3 more murder charges, bringing the total to 14. These latest murder charges involve a UPS employee, Anthony Love Jr., a Birmingham firefighter, Jordan Melton, and a 21-year-old woman, Mia Nixon. Investigators believe that these are cases of murder for hire. McDaniel is now being held without bond at the Kilby Correctional Center. The Mobile City Council met this past Tuesday and approved a construction contract for the replacement of the Civic Center. The City Council approved the borrowing of $237 million for the construction to proceed. It will involve a 300,000 square foot arena that seats 10,000 people. The construction project will be done by a Birmingham-based company and will begin sometime in March. I'm Andrea Tice.
For more news affecting Alabamians, go to 1819news.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the daily newsletter.
Before you buy new floors at a discount store and get them installed by the cousin of a friend who does this kind of thing, consider the better option. Prattville Carpet carries the most reputable brands for selection, style, and quality you can trust. And with their non-transferable lifetime installation warranty, you'll never have to worry about hardwood warping or carpet buckling. Your floors will stay as beautiful as the day they installed them.
Hi, I'm Ray Bowles from Prattville Carpet. If you're looking for carpet, hardwood, laminate, vinyl plank, or ceramic tile, call us today for your free measurement. Prattville Carpet, we're more than just carpet.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com.
Lowe's knows how to help you get the most out of your store run. That's why members save more with My Lowe's Rewards. Earn points towards My Lowe's money on eligible purchases. Get access to member-only deals and free member gifts. Plus, unlock free standard shipping when you reach Silver Key status. So what are you waiting for? Join for free today. Lowe's. We help. You save. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's News and Views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
This is how you conduct yourself in a democracy?
It's all a fugazi. You know what a fugazi is?
Fugazi. It's a fake.
Yeah, fugazi. It's a wazi. It's a woozy. It's a fairy dust. It doesn't exist. It's never landed. It is no matter. It's not on the elemental chart. It's not real.
Right.
This is the Trump country. We live in the southeast. We drink sweet tea. We don't drink socialist Kool-Aid.
Girl, baby girl. Oh, really? Don't even play.
Shut up, silly woman.
Joey Clark.
Welcome into the program. I'm your host, Joey Clark, on a beautiful Wednesday. It's actually nice outside for a change. Byron Sheehy here in the studio with me. How you doing today, sir?
Doing well. It is gorgeous outside, dude.
It really is. And, well, I got up bright and early, got a workout in, and I skedaddled over to, if that's a word, to the State House.
Skedaddle's a word.
Yeah, I skedaddled. I think that's how it was. Mm-hmm. And I met up with this guy, was on his show, Jeff Poor of the Jeff Poor Show, now joining us here on the radio. Jeff, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Joey. Thanks for having me on.
And, of course, folks, Jeff is also editor-in-chief there at 1819news.com. Did anything big happen after we left? Any insights you might want to share with my audience here about what's going on at the State House today?
Well, Ainsworth's pretty fired up. I mean, he really took it to the governor on air today, questioned her motives on this veterans bill. I mean, he has taken, like, a stance against the bill. We know that. Like, he has publicly said that this is a bad bill, but he kind of took it a little bit of a step further today and said that, you know, what he thinks is, I fully believe him on that. I mean, I was long ahead of him on this, but he publicly said he thinks the governor's just acted out of personal animosity on this veterans bill, which I still think is probably going to pass, but it's got a lot of opposition. We'll see. The House seems to be the last line of defense here, which in the past the House has not been that sort of body to stop bad bills from passing.
Well, I'm glad to hear that from Ainsworth because I completely agree with his assessment. I always want the other side of the story, but one side on this story doesn't seem to want to talk publicly, I think, be forthright about what happened, especially with the resignation of Kent Davis that the board didn't accept, so you get the supreme executive authority of firing him. And I think there is a bit of personal animosity going on here. How does the governor's office whip so many votes together? They're quite effective at it. I'll give them that.
Well, the governor is not good at whipping votes. This seems counterintuitive, so let me explain.
Okay.
Well, what she does is she's really good at is cutting deals with those in charge, the speaker in the House, the budget chairman, the general fund, and the ETF chairman in the House and the Senate. And I don't know what the relationship with the governor is right now with the pro tem, with the new pro tem Garland Cudgel, but I don't think it's bad or anything. But she just doesn't deal with the rank and file. She goes straight to the leadership. She goes straight to people who are responsible for getting votes whipped. And she makes deals with them and says, you get votes for me and you can have this. And that's been a very effective strategy. Where she has tried in the past to go directly to members. She was successful in 2019 with the Rebuild Alabama Act, but she had to go like really, really bare knuckles. She had a whiteboard up in her office. It was keeping score. And you had a red mark next to your name if you voted against it, meaning she wasn't going to help you in the future. You had a green mark if you supported her, so she was going to remember this. And then if you didn't vote, there was a black mark. I don't know what the black mark got you, but some people who took a walk on Rebuild Alabama, I think there were 3 or 4, they had a black mark next to their name. And, like, you sometimes have to go to the governor as a member of the Alabama legislature for stuff. Maybe you need some state park money or a road paved or something. And what she would do when you would make those requests, she would just look at that whiteboard up there. You didn't, Sugar Pie, you didn't support me on the Rebuild Alabama Act, but that left a lot of heartburn with people. So they really don't go to that tactic as much. But I don't go a little long-winded here. But the last time we saw this, Joey, with the governor trying to whip individual members, it failed. It really failed on them. Was gambling.
All right.
They had the votes in the House. The governor's office decides to really flex its muscle with some state senators, and I think they flipped votes the other way when they tried to do that, when they started making threats and saying, you want to vote for this or you're going to regret it. And just out of spite, I think you had a member or two say, to hell with this. I'm not voting for that. You're not going to treat me this way. I was elected and I don't have to take crap from you. And it backfired. So I don't think she does that a whole lot. I think their desire is to let the House leadership deal with the House members.
Well, and it might be the members are looking at this whole scandal, for lack of a better word, with the commissioner and board of Veterans Affairs, and they're saying, "Oh, this is just so messy. Like, I want the messiness and all the noise to go away." To me, that might be just a good enough argument on its own.
Well, I don't know. Does this make it go away if they vote for it? Does it? Maybe it does. Maybe it's like, well, he lost his fight. I still think you're going to have guys like Kent Davis out there making noise, but we got an election coming up, and will this have a significant impact on re-election efforts? And that sort of just tells you, if you're looking at this, well, people remember this in 2 years. Some people think they will. Some people say, no, we didn't remember it with the gas tax. Why would we start remembering it now? And that would be, I guess, that's the $1 million question.
There you go. Now, I want to shift to Doge and how it's affecting in some parts of Alabama. And, before I say this, I'm, of course, talking about Terry Sewell saying that 100 of her constituents who work at the Social Security Administration in Birmingham have been unjustly terminated. She later had to correct that, saying it was actually for Region 4, which covers several states, and working to determine exactly how many employees in Alabama's 7th Congressional District have actually been terminated. I almost think there needs to be a rule around Doge, whether it's coming from Elon and Trump or it's coming from like Terry Sewell or anybody else on the Democratic side, is there's going to be about at least 10% to 15% of BS. Like, it's not Gaza, like the Gaza Strip where the condoms are going, it's Gaza, Mozambique. And what's with all these old people, like 200-year-old people on the Social Security rolls, and you're firing all these people in my district? Oh, I'm sorry. And I think this is just moving so fast that a lot of the information is just, when we look back after the fact, going to be faulty.
They hyperbolize. They've been hyperbolizing for 10 years now about Donald Trump. And, this might have worked 8 years ago. The hyperbole doesn't work anymore. People are on to the game. It's a white noise at this point, and that's the problem. This tactic of exaggerating everything Donald Trump does or says, it didn't work with the 2024 election. Why would they think it's going to work now?
Right. And I do wonder, what is the path forward with Democrats? I keep thinking it's going to be a local Democratic, say, party or state that breaks with the national party, sort of recreates the brand at their local level, and then scales that up nationally. Because when I look at the national party, especially with their latest chairman elections and the voices, mouthpieces in the corporate media, they have not learned their lesson, and I don't think they know how to change.
No, this is their only tactic they got to go to, I guess. The Democratic Party's just got all kinds of problems because tactically they're using the playbook that failed them in 2024. But I was thinking about this, Joey. Like, the reason we got Kamala Harris is because the Democratic Party establishment just doesn't trust their own voters not to put in like a George McGovern or something, right? Or some crazy far left kook. So this is how they worked around it. And I think they did the same thing with Joe Biden in the first place in the 2020 cycle. Because I think Peter Buttigieg or Bernie Sanders had a shot at the nod, and then some deal was cut somewhere, and next thing you know, Joe Biden wins South Carolina and is the nominee. And you're like, well, did he finish like 6th or 7th in New Hampshire and Iowa? Like, how does that happen? But they cut some kind of deal, and it's because they said, look, we don't think any of you guys can beat Donald Trump. We think Biden's the only one, and they're afraid of their own voters. Like, they got to sort this out. They may stop Donald Trump on some things. They may even damage Donald Trump even further, although I don't know what else they could say. But as far as electability,
right,
I don't know what the future of the Democratic Party, what they stand for, even other than, hey, we just don't like Trump.
Yeah, and at this point, I don't think they know. I think they're having their own unique identity crisis. And also happened kind of surprised everybody. It looked like the votes were not there for the one big, beautiful bill. Then all of a sudden, Mike Johnson's walking over, calling members to the floor, saying, we have the votes. This one big, beautiful bill passes 217 to 216. Incredibly thin margin. People are complaining, especially your libertarian or fiscal hawks, that this is still going to add to the deficit and to the overall debt. But number one, do you think this actually makes its way through the Senate now the House has done its job? And number two, does it matter that this isn't the big budget cut that, say, fiscal hawks want?
The latter, no. I think we're riding high on these fumes, at least with Republican voters who would have concerns about this bill, are riding high on the Donald Trump wave right now. I don't know you could get Donald Trump from the right now. Maybe eventually you can, but right now that crowd is going to just have to let's just have consequences. So here we are. The Senate question's interesting. I would think so. I think the Senate's probably a lot easier than the House. It's hard to say the Senate wants to have its own thumbprint on things and have it its own way. What did they have to change to get to that 217 in the House? How can you capture lightning in a bottle again? Would be the question if they had to, and I don't think they can. So, but let's think about it like this, Joey. If you vote against this, right now you have the opportunity to do a lot of things that we haven't been able to do in this country for decades. And this is it, this big, beautiful bill through reconciliation. This is a big moment. If you vote against it, how are you going to be received by your own constituents in a primary sort of election that or any, whatever it may be? Is this where you want to make your stand? So that's another question I would have. I just don't know that there's enough political courage. I mean, other than like Lisa Murkowski or Susan Collins even, or I guess now Mitch McConnell, where's that going to come from?
Well, and we at least know for certain both our senators here from Alabama, they seem to be playing ball and having a lot of fun doing it, especially with all those FBI agents that are now 500 moved to Redstone, I believe. So maybe more in the future, I suspect.
Yeah, well, and then talking to our radio brethren up there, Del Jackson, he's really down on this. He does not think this is the way people in Huntsville are scared for their jobs is a political winner. And I think it's maybe true in Madison County, but I just think most of the country is just cheering this on, that we have a federal bureaucracy that has abused its role in our society for years, and people are finally seeing what they think is some justice.
Well, and I've said before, I think if I did the show that I do here in Montgomery up in Huntsville, somebody might assassinate me. So, yeah, it's a different culture. It's a different world. And it really is, for folks who don't know, a major part of the central nervous system of our national security state. So I can see why folks are nervous, but honestly, unless it's some big contractor that is just not getting bang for buck, I don't see too many of those folks on the chopping block. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
Well, I mean, maybe it's just this guilt complex, they know their jobs aren't really real-world jobs or something. That you get a government job. I've never been a federal employee, but maybe you work in the federal government, you get all the benefits, and, you have a very set-defined work structure, and you move up and down the ladder in a certain kind of pre-programmed way versus the real world where there is more of an element of meritocracy. Does that scare some people? I think it does. Well, and
maybe it's good that everybody's a little nervous and back on their heels, and it might make things just better across the board. When I think sometimes we've had it too cozy. It's been sort of following the procedures and rules as they've been done forever, and at least folks are shaking things up, even if they might break a few things along the way. I always appreciate your time, Jeff. If folks want to check out what you're writing about, thinking about, talking about, how can they do so?
X.com/Jeff_Poor, always 1819news.com.
Appreciate it. Do it again soon. Thanks, sir. Again, folks, that is Jeff Poor. Always appreciate his time. Yeah, and I got up bright and early, got down to the State House, got to see Senator Barfoot on the way out. He was up next on Jeff's show after I left.
Where's the Jeff do the studio, or the show in studio?
We were in Stadhagen's office.
Okay.
In a little conference room in the back of his office. And
cool.
All smiling folks, you get to get to know people. I met one guy, he's like, I listen to your show all the time. I'm like, oh, thanks, man.
Everybody listens, don't they?
I I've been told nobody does, and that this is really all in my mind.
Ooh, that's a low blow.
Yeah, like nobody listens to that crap. This kid.
As soon as you mess up, then you find out who really listens.
Well, and I do have to say, and I never really listened to Dan Bongino, but seeing him being named deputy director of the FBI, I checked in on his show yesterday, responding to the hysterical corporate media, and I have to say I felt a little chastened when he started going into his resume. And all this stuff he's done, and it's like, Joey, what have you done? I have blathered on the radio for over a decade. I have done nothing other than talk.
You generated some pretty cool memes.
I've tried.
Yeah,
I've tried. I'm not up there with the best of them, but I try. But then I also have thoughts that aren't political. People might be amazed by that. For instance, as I go work out, I get back home, get some breakfast, take a shower, and then we're off. And as I'm leaving the neighborhood, I've seen this gentleman who's got to be 6'4", 6'5", and he kind of got a lot of Alabama men. He looks a little pregnant, and but not in a horrid way. It's just he likes eating, and every day I see him walking his dog, and it's this tiny.
I saw your post.
Yeah. That was what inspired it. It's this tiny little Chihuahua thing, and you're like, man, because so much of when you watch those nature is metal videos on Instagram, or you read about human history or politics every day, all day, people calling each other names. I mean, and I'm guilty as heck about that too. We all are, I think, to a certain degree, because we're emotional creatures. To see a powerful giant compared to that little dog, just taking his time and energy, his beautiful morning to just make sure that dog gets a little exercise, gets a walk, and he's feeding it because as he's feeding himself. And I really do think moments like that, when you see us defying what nature should say, that we should dominate everything, the strong should dominate the weak, so to speak. But when you see the strong or the capable taking care of and helping conserve, it's I think the fundamental nature of the universe and the cosmos is love. It's a relationship.
Well, I agree with that, but to say that man and dog, that's not natural, I'd have to argue with you on that.
Well, you see what I mean, though. I think in some ways dogs have become so human-like. They're better than most people.
Yeah, but I mean, we've lived with dogs for what,
right,
9,000 years?
Right. Well, and that's what I mean. You go to the point thinking of who are the first tribes, nomads of people that, coax wolves over to the fire with some meat and some food, and the wolves start getting wise. They're not even really pets. They just travel with you knowing, and then it goes into an actual relationship to where now dogs track eyes like humans do. It's pretty remarkable. And to now where it's not these beasts that could murder things, make their little hunting and feasting as predators. It becomes these tiny little, almost useless if they had to actually go fend for themselves in nature, but it comes out of a reciprocal relationship of love. Yes. And when you get down to the bottom of it, folks ask about what are the best arguments for God? What's the truth, the secret of the universe? Is it 42? If we're talking Isaac Asimov, if we ask the AI that becomes the cosmic being, does it eventually end where all human life and all life in general dies until it's just the AI and then it says, let there be light? I mean, what is this? I think actually when you get to the bottom of it, though I don't claim to prove it, I think underneath all the mystery of stuff is a relationship with the world and those you love. That when you sometimes think it's a sad situation, you're born into kind of a losing struggle. It's a sad situation, a chronic case of crash and burn. And then you realize, why do I do anything? It'll fade away, dust to dust. The dead are dancing with the dead. Dust is dancing with the dust. And then you look into the eyes of somebody you truly love. And it could be romantic. It could be a child. It could be even that little pup that you make sure to walk every day. You forget time, the snares of time, how cruel time is. You seem to forget all the big arguments and stuff. Why does that even matter? As long as we've got this warm place where we're taking care of each other and helping to fight back against, Mother Nature and all the problems of the world and death itself, I think that makes up for a lot right there.
I do think that whenever we have pets or children or whomever in our lives, it forces us to be there in the present instead of thinking about the future, worrying about things in the past. Like it really does allow us to be the best version of ourselves that we can be in that moment.
Well, when I first started thinking about this, and I hadn't visited him in a while, and I need to, my Uncle Greg, my dad's older brother, the eldest of that side of the family, of that generation. And it took a year for us to all be able to get together after his father, my granddaddy, passed, because it was in the middle of COVID. And we finally all got together and did a big, got a beach house and told stories and really everybody caught up and remembered him, and there's laughing and crying and all this stuff, all the stories. And I remember it was more later in the night where my Uncle Greg had brought this little adorable dog, and I believe it had been his friends who had passed away. His great lifelong best friend had passed away, and it was that same dog. And he just kind of pet the dog very gently, again, a little chihuahua rat-looking thing, but sweet, and just said, "This dog is my heart." And it kind of hit me there. I'm like, man, like the meaning, the memory of just being able to take care of that little critter. It's kind of a beautiful thing. And then, of course, one of the drunk friends of the family comes in and starts squawking about MSNBC while we're trying to have a philosophical conversation about politics. Like, you ruined it, lady. You ruined it. I do this all day. I'd like a change. I'm trying to get my unk again. And you're sitting here spouting Rachel Maddow at me.
But you got, 30 minutes in before?
Yeah, we got a little bit. Yeah. Enough to leave an imprint up here. 272-9228. This is part of the program brought to you by Pest Pro Services. And talk about great skilled professionals. They're ready to help you out as we round the corner into termite season. Ugh. You want to go ahead and just get that property treated before you ever have a problem. Or if you suspect you might have a problem, they'll find it. And they can treat that as well. But go ahead and do it on a preventative basis. And say maybe you're building a new home, new property. Go ahead and get the entire property treated before you start building on top of it. And by the way, it doesn't have to be your home or residential space. They also do commercial spaces. And it's not just termite season around the corner. Mosquito season will be here before you know it. And by the way, I also saw a wasp sneaking around, and which I'm at war with those things.
Enemy.
Yeah. So if the wasps are already waking up, you're like, man, everything's about to wake up. It's starting to get a little warmer, and that's why you need Pest Pro Services. Go ahead and save their number at 265-9990. That's 265-9990. Or you can always go to ppsriverregion.com or just search Pest Pro Services on the Book of Faces. And by the way, go to their Facebook page, and if you know a student athlete, a young kid that had a great performance that you want to spotlight, they love at Pest Pro doing this thing called Player of the Week. But they need nominations from the community. So just direct message them that, hey, this kid had a great showing, or this kid's shown amazing leadership or teamwork, something admirable that needs to be spotlighted. And Pest Pro will consider those nominations and pick a Player of the Week. So again, check them out today. That's Pest Pro Services. When you want to know, call a pro. And be sure to tell Ashley and the great team there that Joey, that fella on the radio, sent you. 272-9228. That's 334-272-9228. Got some comments rolling in. Oh, it's mostly folks just saying, what's up? What's up, Mark? What's up, Sam? Or he calls himself Spam Balls now. B-O-L-Z.
Uh-oh.
That's a funny thing, I guess. And we've got a lot to get to today. In terms of politics, there is a massive thread called Official Winning Thread. And it starts at day one, January 20th. It's not an exhaustive list, but it's been a month? A little over a month.
Over a month.
And so if you go day by day, it's kind of remarkable to behold. Also an interesting number in polling numbers, because there's been this growth of the nuns, not like the people with the celibate ladies with the weird getup.
Are they really celibate?
Let's hope so. Do you know the story of Peter Abelard?
No.
We'll get to that another time. But Christianity's numbers, it's not the growth of the nuns like the Catholic nuns, but the non-affiliates have been growing in this nation. But apparently Christianity numbers have stabilized in the United States. There are a lot of those nuns being brought back into the fold of the faith, or folks who maybe were shy about even saying it before are now saying it. So that we can get into that. Also, a crazy cocaine story out of Colombia.
Was it the toupee?
Yeah, man.
I was envisioning
What a way to smuggle in drugs.
Kid from like the Kid and Play, like
Yeah.
how much is $10,000 worth of
Right.
had to be
That's
a
better than stowing it up your bum.
Marge Simpson. I mean,
Also, we have the first big cabinet meeting that Elon attended, and there's a lot of clips coming out from that.
I'm
That
sure
should be
there's
interesting.
just utter meltdown on the left.
Oh, yeah. Did you also see Trump propose, it's like a green card, but we're going to call it the gold card?
Where is that money going? Straight to what program?
It would be just in general a revenue raiser. It would go where the Congress would then determine.
Yeah, I don't want it going to Congress. I want it to go into like something specific that the executive has control over.
Yeah, it's technically, I believe, the EB-5 program that they're overhauling, and they're calling it the gold card. You want to come through the golden door that is the United States of America? Right through the Gulf of America. Pay us $5 million, and you can be a legal resident, and you have a pathway to citizenship. $5 million.
If I leave and come back, can I do that?
Maybe. I don't know. But we'll get into more details. That was being explained at the cabinet meeting. There's a DEI boycott.
Good.
Apparently, Al Sharpton's calling for a big old boycott.
Of the DEI, right?
Or of them taking away the DEI.
Well, that's confusing.
He's telling folks on a certain day, don't buy gas, as well as other things.
Okay.
I don't think people are going to listen, but we'll get into
I'm
that.
sure they will.
And Tulsi Gabbard making moves. Now as head of all intelligence, the director of national intelligence, she's already fired 100 NSA employees who were involved in a dirty, dirty thing. Dirty thing.
You got to be careful. With
Using
the language you
official
use.
like government chat rooms to talk about like whips and chains and all sorts of just perverse stuff. Do that on your own phones, not on the government's programs. And of course, Jeff Bezos is making a quote-unquote major change to the Washington Post opinion page, quote, personal liberties and free markets. Fascinating.
Imagine.
Huh.
What a world.
Like libertarianism, like a shallow libertarianism, but libertarianism nonetheless.
Free markets.
Yeah, personal liberties, free markets?
Let's get out of here.
What are you, a Reason subscriber? Anyway, there's a lot to get into. We'll touch on that all after the break.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings 6 till 9 and afternoons 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Hello, everyone. Robbie Pelt with Capital City Roofing. If you think about it, your home is your biggest investment in life. Your roof covers your home, so why jeopardize your biggest investment on a roofer you don't know anything about when you can deal with a reputable roofing company like Capital City Roofing? We have an A+ Better Business rating and the best manufacturers and workmanship warranties available. We do all residential and commercial roofing applications that are certified through the manufacturer to ensure you get the best material and workmanship money can buy. We also have your project in our best interest before and after construction has been done. Don't hesitate to call us if you have any roofing issues or questions. We will match any of our competitors' price and give you the same great workmanship warranty. We also give free estimates. Give us a call today and let us show you the difference. 277-3311. That's 277-3311. Or you can check us out on the web at www.capitalcityroofing.com. Capital City Roofing. We capitalize the roofing industry.
For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians, 1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state, while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com.
Hi there, I'm Kim Williams with Alabama Home Mortgage. For many years, my team and I have worked diligently to provide our veterans with top-notch service, as it is our honor to serve those who have served us in the armed forces. Madeline and I are certified veteran lending specialists. Nationwide, there are over 22 million veterans that qualify to purchase a home through the VA loan program. Yet less than 2 million of them currently have a VA home loan. Many lenders do not keep up with the ever-changing guidelines and benefits of the VA loan program. They are intimidated by the program, resulting in many veterans not obtaining VA loans. This is unacceptable. The VA home loan program offers service members and veterans with 100% financing. You've already paid your down payment. If you are currently serving or have honorably discharged, we would love an opportunity to discuss how the VA program can serve you. Give Alabama Home Mortgage a call at 567-4223 or visit us online at myalabamahomemortgage.com to complete an application on your time. Thank you for your service. NMLS 1586-36-8, Equal Housing Lender.
Adams Drugs has been committed to the healthcare of the people of the River region for over 62 years. We value the trust each customer has in our pharmacists, techs, and entire staff. If you have not experienced the difference of Adams Drugs and are not satisfied with the customer service that you get in the big box stores, we invite you to visit any of our locations and see how committed we are to your satisfaction. Adams Drugs offers a variety of services that you will not find in all pharmacies in the River region. Personalized compounding, area-wide delivery, wellness screenings, immunizations, medication consultations, and specialized packaging, just to name a few. Visit us at our website, adamsdrugs.net, and find the location nearest you. Adams Drugs has 12 convenient locations to serve you. Your satisfaction is our #1 goal. Adams Drugs is your local Health Mart pharmacy. Health Mart, taking the time to listen and care.
Hello, my name is Twan Nettles Jackson, and I'm the owner of Jackson Tax Service. And when it comes to advertising my business, Blue Water Broadcasting is my #1 choice. I've been using them for several years, and they definitely help increase my business. What are you waiting for? Give them a call today.
Did you know that radio is the #1 reach platform in all of media? It's true. Call us to find out how to put radio's #1 reach to work for your business. Blue Water Broadcasting. Local folks helping local business.
With the Wall Street Business Report, I'm Rich Thomason. The European Union announcing plans for a major overhaul of its economic strategy to meet demands of the bloc's captains of industry. They've long complained about excessive taxation, sky-high energy prices, and an overbearing bureaucracy that they say makes the bloc an unattractive place to do business. Wall Street anxiously awaits a quarterly earnings report from NVIDIA. A bellwether for AI chip makers, NVIDIA set to release its first earnings report since a Chinese upstart, DeepSeek, upended artificial intelligence by saying it has developed a language model that can compete with U.S. rivals without having to use the most expensive chips. Shares of another company riding the AI wave, Supermicro Computer, soared 22% pre-market, as it finally updated its regulatory filings. For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm Rich Thomason.
Rich Thomas Weather, a service of Wiley Sanders Truck Lines, where over-the-road dump truck drivers are needed right now. Home twice a week and every weekend, must leave early on Sunday with Blue Cross Blue Shield. Call them now at 855-777-9785.
We are enjoying some really nice weather on these last few days of February, and even the first weekend of March looks great. Today, spring-like, beautiful. The warming trend continues high, up to about 77, plenty of sunshine. Mostly clear, 51 the low tonight. Tomorrow we have a weak front approaches. I guess there could be some widely scattered, isolated showers in the afternoon. Many towns stay dry, high 71. Behind the front, abundant sunshine Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We'll be in the upper 60s Friday, low 70s on Saturday, and near 70 on Sunday.
At CB&S Bank, we've been meeting the needs of our customers since 1906. Need help setting up new business goals? Our line of commercial loans can help you achieve them. Go to cbsbank.com to find a location near you. All loans subject to credit approval, member FDIC, and equal housing lender.
The premier place the River Region turns to for news, weather, traffic, and opinion. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
This is how you conduct yourself in a democracy?
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. We have Alabama guy on the X platform. He's wondering Hello, y'all. Where's Eddie? Eddie is, I could say what?
Always be closing.
Mm-hmm.
Always be closing.
He's actually taken the day off to do something truly wholesome. Looking after the grandkids.
Oh, yeah, you told me. I was like, good for you, man.
He's like, I got to miss tomorrow. I'm like, you? Why? And he's like, I'm taking care of my grandkids. I'm like, okay, that's...
Yeah.
You go do that, because
adorable.
that's much better use of your time than being here, sir. So
Imagine
we
all the
miss you, Eddie, but
lessons
we
that's
get
going
it.
to be taught today.
Oh, so many lessons. And plus, Eddie's a man, like a man's man. And now, the lessons you learn from Grandpa, you learn a lot from Grandma too, but the lessons you learn from Grandpa or Gramps or whatever you want to call I wonder what Eddie's grandkids call him. Papa?
For some reason, I'm seeing Eddie.
Just Eddie?
Yeah, Eddie.
Eddie. I don't know. But that's where Eddie is, if you're wondering. And so where to begin? Well, how about this? Let's have Trump himself describe the new gold card. It's kind of like a green card, but it's gold. It's golden. This thing we got is golden, to quote Rob Blagojevich, who's now been fully pardoned. What a world.
What carrot? Do we know what carrot?
I don't know. I'll have to look into that. Let's go to Trump. This is Trump just laying out what the heck is a gold card.
Everything else is going to be very, very good. We're going to be selling a gold card. You have a green card. This is a gold card. We're going to be putting a price on that card of about $5 million, and that's going to give you green card privileges plus. It's going to be a route to citizenship, and wealthy people will be coming into our country by buying this card. They'll be wealthy, and they'll be successful, and they'll be spending a lot of money and paying a lot of taxes and employing a lot of people. And we think it's going to be extremely successful. Never been done before or anything like this, but it's something that we're going to be putting out over the next, would you say 2 weeks, Howard? Do you want to
2
say
weeks.
a couple of words about it?
Sure.
President, are there
Wait a
any
minute.
requirements for that
Hang on a
gold
sec.
card? Do you have to invest a certain amount of money in this country in order to qualify for that gold card?
Yeah, exactly.
So
Go
the
ahead.
EB-5 program was really, you lend some money, but it was
This is the voice of Howard Lutnick, who is the Commerce Secretary now.
full of nonsense, make-believe, and fraud, and it was a way to get a green card that was low-priced. So the president said, rather than having this sort of ridiculous EB-5 program, we're going to end the EB-5, green card gold, so they'll be able to pay $5 million to the U.S. government. They'll have to go through vetting, of course. We're going to make sure they're wonderful, world-class global citizens. They can come to America. The president can give them a green card, and they can invest in America, and we can use that money to reduce our deficit. Why do we give out lotteries of green cards? Why do we give out EB-5 for green cards? The President of the United States understands that the right answer is, why don't we eliminate the deficit of the United States of America instead?
The gold card, well, millions, but the gold card will bring in with it people that create jobs, very high-level people. I think companies will pay to get people in. For instance, you today graduate from the Wharton School of Finance or Harvard or Stanford or any college, and nobody knows if you can even go to work for a company. So Apple and all these companies that want to get people to be working for them will be able to buy a card, and for the people that are number one in their class at top schools, I see that as one of the things. But generally speaking, it'll be people with money and people that create jobs, and they won't have to pay any tax on income outside of the United States, which they're not paying right now. They're not citizens, but they'll have to pay if they create jobs in the United States. They'll pay full taxes like everybody else. So you're getting big taxpayers, big job producers, and we'll be able to sell maybe 1 million of these cards, maybe more than that. And if you add up the numbers, they're pretty good. As an example, 1 million cards would be worth $5 trillion. $5 trillion.
Wow.
And if you sell 10 million of the cards,
Wait for it.
a total of $50 trillion. Well, we have $35 trillion in debt. That'd be nice. So we'll see. But it could be great. Maybe it will be fantastic. We have it all worked out from the legal standpoint. It's totally legal to do. Hasn't been done before. It's been done in many different forms. We give them away. Why should we give them away?
There you go. And so it's kind of like you want to come through the golden door and you got money, pay up some gold.
What sort of oversight is going to be on this?
As he said, it's the EB-5 program, so I guess Homeland Security would be looking at that.
So the EB-5 that they were just bad-mouthing.
Yeah, they're going to overhaul essentially the EB-5 and turn it into what they were just
and
talking
they're just
about.
going to build this other plant for the fast track.
Yeah, essentially, like pay $5 million if you want to come here, and you can see a lot of companies might pay for it.
Yeah, I'm just worried about some of our neighbors over in the Middle East who may have large.
A big part of that. Well, I mean, it already exists with green card. Like you have to do a pretty thorough security check and these sorts of things.
I'm just wanting to make sure that the people on the gold standard are under the same scrutiny as the ones on the green card standard.
Yes. No, that should be the idea. You can't be a terrorist and have a lot of money and pay.
Or related to any.
Right. Yes. No, there definitely need to be security checks to this. But I was like, oh, that's interesting. And it sort of cuts against this whole, he hates all immigrants. It's like, no, once you come in legally, and if you're rich, come on in.
Well, I mean, everybody knows he just hates poor people. I mean,
right, you're right. He does.
He just hates poor immigrants.
Well, you get a certain amount of rich, and then you're just like, they smell.
Well, no, I mean, his point about the foreign countries sending over their worst, this is the counter to that. We're attracting the best. And to put the onus on the business, if they want to keep, some student that they've identified that they don't want to see go, back on the free market, makes all the sense in the world.
Does make a lot of sense.
The thing that scared me was, the 50 trill.
Yeah, so if 10 million people buy a $5 million car, that's 50 trillion?
Yeah, 10 million more people in this country right now. No,
but they're rich. They're creating jobs. Where
do you think they're going to move?
And it won't be all at once.
Where do you think they're going to move to?
All these new, big, beautiful cities that I'm building out west. We have a lot of land, Byron.
They're going to move here.
We have a lot of land, Byron.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
We here in the South.
No, that's a fascinating idea.
If they want to send them to Arizona, rock and roll. Silicon Valley, all day. Let's go.
And by the way, did you know that Trump answered more than 1,000 press questions in the first month? Like every day, them coming into the Oval Office and just sitting there answering questions and whatnot?
What was the count on Biden? I know there's got to be a tally
I'm sure
somewhere.
It's low, man. Compared to Biden, I'm sure it's real low. 7 times more than Biden in the same period. Yeah. They had to control Pop.
Yeah.
Like Pop can only take questions when he's on uppers and he's not too shaky or tweaking out. He's got to be kind of even keel, but still up.
Have you noticed they haven't been saying too much about Trump playing golf here lately?
No, they haven't.
You know why? That whole little blurb about Biden taking more time off than just about anybody else ever.
And Trump gets a lot done on the golf course. That really is a great way to sort of clear your head and meet with people, get advice from people, get to know them.
I had someone tell me when I was, in 10th grade, you plan on being in business, play golf.
Now, are you on the side of, say, Thomas Massey, and we'll play him and his explanation coming up? And I'm not surprised by Thomas Massey. That guy is principled as the day is long. He doesn't want to add more to the deficit, more to the debt. So he voted against this thing, this big, beautiful bill. But, I mean, what's your thoughts on this? Like, if you can get it through by that 1 vote threshold, just get it through, pull the trigger on it. This is what Trump wants. Or should they have, played hardball for cutting spending?
Didn't we have a campaign promise about not cramming a bunch of bills into one big measure and ramming it through?
Yeah, but this was kind of...
But it's kind of also the same thing.
It is. Yeah. But this is the problem with what they did at the end of last fiscal year. They set up this on purpose, and this is probably the best outcome given the way this is set up.
So you're telling me that we're only going to do this once, and we're going to start actually attacking?
Yeah, if they go through this next fiscal year and they don't do this several separate spending bills and stuff and get back to regular order, as you've heard Senator Brett talk about a lot on the Senate side, Yeah, if they don't get back to regular order, that's when I'll start screaming, hypocrisy or something.
I'm gonna hold my tongue in my opinion for now and let it a little.
Yeah, they did this CR at the end of last fiscal year that would land in whoever's lap became president. So it's a short time period. You don't have time to do all the individual bills. They say.
They say.
They say.
I believe that they do.
You thought they from January to like around now? That time?
From like the end of last session to now.
Oh, yeah. They weren't going to do that.
But they could have.
They want to get everybody seated and ready to go. Yeah, don't get me started on Washington. So I see where you're coming from. In fact, I'll be playing Thomas Massey coming up.
I'm going to hold my opinion.
That's fair. That's fair. You do you, man. Hey, this part of the program brought to you by Montgomery Men's Health. You know what they're all about, right? We've talked about them enough.
You do you, man.
You do you, man. Well, and in fact, if you're having trouble doing you, like if you're just run down, tired all the live long day, like mentally you've got a fog in your brain and physically you're just petering out, like you're eating lunch and you fall asleep. You're never in the mood. You have no sex drive to speak of. You're seeing unwanted weight gain, loss of muscle mass. It's just like, what is happening to me? Well, it very well could be low testosterone. This is happening to guys, is of course, naturally as they age into 40s, 50s, 60s, but there are even guys in their 20s experiencing the symptoms of low testosterone. So, fellas, you need to stop by Montgomery Men's Health. There, the providers will conduct a testosterone-focused lab workup plus a consultation for only $99. It's really just a quick blood draw. They ask you a few basic quality of life questions. And if your score comes back showing you do, in fact, have low T, they have treatments there, all sorts of different types of treatments that can truly change lives. Men can experience higher energy, better gains in the gym. Oh, brother. That's right, brother. Better mental clarity, improved sleep patterns, a faster metabolism, and you usually even notice an increased libido.
Mm-hmm.
And you can actually book the same day that you call that number, 440-3663. That's 440-3663, or go to MontgomeryMen'sHealth.com to book your appointment today.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Hello, I'm Mr. Ben. If your vehicle has seen better days, fear not, help is on the way. Mr. Ben's Auto Spa Express has added a professional detail shop. Specialized techniques and products are used to get your vehicle back to showroom shape. Hand washing, waxing, stain removal, odor removal, shampooing, minor scratch removal, and more. Mr. Ben's Auto Spa Express, next to Fraser Church on the Atlanta Highway. Come by for a free estimate. Look like you've been to Mr. Ben.
Worthy, accurate, immediate. Carrying your voice across the river region. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. Joining us now, we have Austin Baranko with Invista Advisors. Hey, Austin, how you doing today?
Having a good day, Joey. How about you?
Oh, very good day. I'm in a good mood for some reason today. But have you had a chance to check out this gold card idea that Trump and Lutnick floated yesterday, where it's like a green card, but you can just pay $5 million after you pass a background check, and you're kind of fast track for legal residence and becoming a citizen?
No, I haven't, but I don't hate the idea. It's another way to get revenue in, and I think people that have that type of money and can pass a background test seem like reasonable people to expedite to the front of the line. So, although I haven't really done a ton of digging into it, those are my first thoughts.
Yeah, it was kind of thrown out there by Trump and Lutnick yesterday at a press conference, and this is the one thing I'm liking about this new administration. There seems to be some novel approaches to things. I guess it'll all shake out in fullness of time, but we shall see. But as you and the team there at Invista Advisors are sort of looking at what's going on with the nation's money, the world's money, what's sort of the general direction we're heading in at this point?
Yeah, we're going to get a lot of speeches from the Fed today. Various Fed board members and Jerome Powell at 2:30 Eastern are going to speak, and so we'll be listening to that. I think inflation scares are still on the horizon, and the recent, rate hike pause is something he'll speak on. But generally speaking, the markets have been volatile. I think as of Friday last week, that was Trump's worst day in the market since his second term as president, and the volatility has started to set in that we've been calling for a while. So we're just cautious moving forward with our selections in client portfolio models. But our thoughts are just, at a time like this, it makes more sense to be protective than risky, and that's kind of the way that we've always managed money, so nothing too peculiar for us. But I would caution anyone out there who's sitting on a pile of cash and wanting to make an investment to ease in at this point. Don't go all in any sector or space. I think the NASDAQ has recovered a little bit since Friday, but the Dow and the S&P are both still down, and I think it's going to be that way for a period of time until we can get this inflation scare under control.
Well, and folks, if you're looking for a holistic approach to planning your long-term financial future, you got to go with Austin here and the team at Invista Advisors. And the investment side is one side of it, but it all starts with more understanding you and your specific needs and objectives. And it really just begins with a conversation at 387-0094. And when you call them up at 387-0094, be sure to say that, hey, I heard Austin on with that Joey Clark guy on the radio, and I want to begin the conversation.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Joey, and you have a great day.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Austin. Again, folks, that's Austin Baranko with Invista Advisors.
The opinions voiced in this material are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. All performance referenced is historical and is no guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and may not be invested into directly. The opinions expressed in this material do not necessarily reflect the views of LPL Financial. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice is offered through Invista Advisors, registered investment advisor and separate entity from LPL Financial.
So I think, this is a little long. Coming up after the top of the hour break, we will have Thomas Massey's explanation of why he voted no. And honestly, Massey is the most principled guy up there in a way. I think he is the canary in the coal mine. Problem is, Washington's like, shut up that bird!
Well, when you say principle, you mean like conservative fiscal?
Yes, and libertarian in other ways, like civil liberties, anti-war stands.
Okay.
Like he's like the new Ron Paul
Okay.
up there. I'll give him that. And so we'll get into his take because I have a soft spot in my heart for those sorts of values, and I would like to see us bring things to heel. And he makes some good points. But I suspect what Trump and like Lutnick are up to with that gold card, what they're up to with the tariffs, they're trying to, I think, change where revenue's coming from in this country so they can cut things like taxes on Social Security. That's in this bill. Like complete no tax on Social Security, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. I think it's beautiful stuff. An extension of the old Trump tax cuts. Great things.
From a fundamental perspective of protecting the United States and protecting the hardworking people of this country, I think his priorities are right where they need to be. Now, some of the stuff may be running a little bit quickly, and some of the conservative bastions like Massey may just want to be tethered a little bit. So
no, I think with the flow of information in this new media age, like what, 10%, 15%, maybe the number's higher, is going to be just BS.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of it was even before the new media cycle. You just can point out the BS better. It's like, you're full of crap. No, you're full of crap. I'm like, maybe everybody's a little bit full of crap, especially in the political world.
Who's less full of crap?
Anyway, we have to hit this top of the hour break. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusana, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm Jason Walker. Senior Ukrainian officials say Kyiv and Washington reaching an agreement on a framework for a broad economic deal. It would include access to Ukraine's rare earth minerals. President Trump calls it, quote, a very big deal, adding it could be worth $1 trillion. The president and his cabinet, meanwhile, meeting today. It's the first official cabinet meeting for the administration. The House last night approving a budget favoring the president's domestic agenda. The vote 217 to 215. The deal marks a dramatic turnaround for Speaker Mike Johnson and House GOP leaders. Hours earlier, they were facing possible opposition to the measure. A child hospitalized in Texas has died from the measles. The outbreak has grown to 124 cases. This is SRN News.
3 years ago, I wrapped up a run of Annie playing Daddy Warbucks with the South Carolina Children's Theater. I was about 50 pounds overweight, tired, sick, fed up with the way I felt. Hey, it's Mike Gallagher. I decided to do something, so I scheduled my weight loss consultation with PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition. As they say, the rest is history. Just a few months, I'd lost 53 pounds. I got control of my health. 3 years later, I've kept the weight off, and I feel better than ever. Call 864-502-1777. If you are where I was, do what I did. Call PhD Weight Loss. It'll change your life. It's fast, it's simple, they won't let you fail. Just give them a call, 864-502-1777. Schedule your weight loss consultation, 864-502-1777. Here's the best part. The first 11 callers who mention the word healthy will get 2 free weeks added to their weight loss package. Don't wait. Call 864-502-1777. Mention healthy to get 2 free weeks or visit them online, myphdweightloss.com.
Rich Thomas Weather is brought to you by the Harriet II.
The Harriet II Riverboat has the perfect way to start your weekend each Friday with the Spring Dinner Cruise. Enjoy live entertainment, dine on a delicious family-friendly dinner with your favorite beverage from the Cash Bar. Boarding starts at 6:30 and the cruise at 7. Book your cruise today at funandmontgomery.com.
We are enjoying some really nice weather on these last few days of February, and even the first weekend of March looks great. Today, spring-like, beautiful. The warming trend continues high, up to about 77, plenty of sunshine. Mostly clear, 51 the low tonight. Tomorrow we have a weak front approaches. I guess there could be some widely scattered, isolated showers in the afternoon. Many towns stay dry, high 71. Behind the front, abundant sunshine Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Will be in the upper 60s Friday, low 70s on Saturday, and near 70 on Sunday.
You can make your ASC loan payments from your phone anytime, anywhere. It's quick and easy. www.yourasccu.com. Federally insured by NCUA.
From the Blue Water Broadcasting News Center, these are today's top stories. Montgomery police have made an arrest in a homicide case from earlier this month. 41-year-old Quentin McCall has been charged with murder in the death of 26-year-old Isaiah Baker. The deadly shooting happened early Sunday morning on February 2nd in the 2200 block of East-South Boulevard near Carmichael Road. The city of Montgomery is hiring 2 positions for its new Community Violence Intervention Program. The program has a budget of $3.7 million for 30 months in an attempt to reduce gun violence in the community. The city will hire a field supervisor to lead the team and a counselor to work with people at risk of committing gun violence. Craft store retailer Joann Fabrics is going out of business after more than 80 years and closing all stores. Joann Fabrics has 6 locations in Alabama, including one in Montgomery. Returns are no longer being accepted and gift cards will only be honored through Friday, February 28th, as Joann Fabrics closes all stores. From the Blue Water Broadcasting News Center, I'm Sky Mosley.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender.
What's your biggest investment? More than likely, it's your home. So treat it that way when you hire a painting contractor. At PBS Painting, there are no gimmicks, no $99 specials. Just quality painting and someone who treats your home with the same respect that you do. At PBS Painting, we have been painting for years and look forward to many more years to come. With PBS Painting, the job gets prepped properly, whether it's cleaning, scraping, or priming. We always use quality products, which is a must for a quality paint job. So if you're looking for a painter that doesn't need upfront money and is on the job at all times, then please give me a call. Scott Bowers and PBS Painting, 294-5122. That's PBS Painting, 294-5122. Look at some of our work on Facebook at PBS Painting Montgomery.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's news and views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
After damning politicians uphill and down dale for many years as rogues, vagabonds, frauds, and scoundrels, I sometimes suspected, like everyone else, I often expect too much of them.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back into the program. I'm your host, Joey Clark. Byron Sheehy here in the studio with me. And, you know, do you think I could meet a goal of, like, a song a day? That seems a little much. Like, instrumental like this, not a proper song with lyrics and stuff, but, like...
You tell me, man. That seems ambitious.
Because this took, like... to mix it and everything, 3 hours on a Saturday.
When I'm creative, it like comes in spurts.
Right.
Like, it'll be like 3 or 4, days of just churning a bunch of stuff out, and then there's like a lull. If you lose your muse or whatever, and then something else hits, and then you're back at it.
I wonder how to find the muse more often.
I think that's kind of the, you got to find the little joys in life, or whenever you get a little inspiration here or there, just allow yourself to run with it.
Now, a guy who's always inspired, Thomas Massey. I think I'm going to make that a goal, though. Like, how about like 2 a week? That's probably fine. Just keep things fresh.
Yeah. I think you should work on it every day. And if you accomplish one, you do it. If you don't, come back to it.
I like that. But here's Thomas Massey. He's looking good. I mean it. I've been complaining for years that we need beards back in politics. I don't mean marriages of convenience to keep up appearances. I mean,
I was going to say,
like facial hair.
You need to clarify, man.
We need male facial hair. Now, I'm all for like going full mutton chop. No, nobody's done that yet. I mean, like just the facial hair I think it looks better. J.D. Vance, for instance, looks a heck of a lot better than that Porky Pig look he had a few years back.
Mine's hit or miss.
I mean, I say that as somebody, you can find old photos of me where it's like, yeah.
Oh, babyface Joey.
Yeah. His Pollock face. But here's Thomas Massey with the beard. It plays. Let's listen in.
Are you still no? Is there anything?
They convinced me in there. I'm a no.
Is there anything?
Look let me their own numbers. If the Republican plan passes under the rosiest assumptions, which aren't even true, we're going to add $328 billion to the deficit this year. We're going to add $295 billion to the deficit the year after that, and $242 billion to the deficit after that, under the rosiest assumptions. Why would I vote for that?
So are you solidly a no?
Yeah, they convinced me. I was a lean no until this meeting. Now I'm a no.
This no confirmed.
This is a no.
Why? Why?
They're talking points. Look. These are not something I made up. This is the leadership's talking points. It adds $328 billion to the deficit. It adds $295 billion to the deficit the year after that. The only way they get to this magic thing where it's not going to kill our country is 5 years from now, they imagine that 2.5% growth accumulates, and that even right here they say they're going to cap discretionary spending. You think we're going to cap discretionary spending and then spend at the rate of inflation after that? That has never happened. So their assumptions are wrong. But even if you take their assumptions at face value, they told us in there they're going to increase the deficit in 2025 by $328 billion. And I've been here long enough. I've been here 12 years, so I've seen a 10-year plan or two come all the way to 10 years. Under Boehner, we had these 10-year plans. Under Ryan, we had these 10-year plans. Anything past the third year never happens.
Right.
Thanks.
Well, but it did pass. But there's Massey essentially saying, y'all are adding more to the deficit, hundreds of billions of dollars. What the heck is wrong with you?
I'm with Massey.
Yeah.
Half a trillion, 3 years. Cap discretionary spending, not going to happen.
And I guess the Democrats' talking point is not that it adds to the deficit, but that it like cuts Medicaid, which I don't think it does.
The true reality is what he said. Any plan that doesn't account for Congress changing parties.
Right. No, he's correct.
Yeah. So why are we setting ourselves up? Here's what's going to happen in La La Land,
Well, we shall see as this goes forward, but same old Republicans still elected despite all this Doge energy pulsing through the country. Let's go to Robert. Hey, Robert, what 5 things did you get done today?
Hey, Joey, thank you for letting me on. I'm going to tell you my 5 things, and I'm going to do them all right now. I'm going to say it live on the radio, and I'm going to do it right now. My advice to the employees that have received an email and have not responded, if you do want to keep your job, respond to the email. Now, number 2, my advice is to the congressmen and representatives up in our legislature. If you can't provide a budget, get out of office. Number 3, I'd like to tell everyone, if you want to see Donald Trump with no filter, it's on Fox News every day. Number 4, coming back to, I've lost a job before, no problem of my own, but you come in with your lunch and you get sent home, that sucks. So respond to your email. Your employer needs you to respond. And then number 5, make America great again. And Joey, thank you for letting me on. And I love your show, brother, because you do 5 things in the first hour of your show.
Well, I appreciate it. Appreciate it, Robert. Yeah, as we established, getting 5 things done, get it 5 in 3 hours, pretty good. Getting 5 in the first, that's almost going too fast.
Have to take a nap after that.
Yeah, absolutely. So did you see this crazy story about the NSA folks?
Yeah.
Yeah. They were getting into all sorts of sex talk and weird kinky stuff. And it was on the official government server.
So that's going to be public at some point, right?
Well, a lot of Chris Rufo and his reporting made it very public, and millions have seen a lot of these messages.
Full?
Yeah, a lot of it is just filthy. A lot of it is also disdainful of a lot of people.
I was curious if they had any cover under the NSA.
Any cover?
Releasing some of the content.
I don't know. I think this was a whistleblower at the NSA who gave a lot of this to Christopher Rufo when it came to all the nasty messages. And
freaks everywhere, man.
Yeah, and Rufo put this out. And, the problem is it's so gross that it's kind of tough to read on air.
Good luck.
But here's the headline from Chris Rufo. Leaked. NSA and CIA officials express their desire to have hermaphrodite babies in order to advance trans ideology. An intersex birth would be a great opportunity to raise a kid as non-binary and let them choose later. I got a feeling that experiment's not going to end well, guys.
Is this just some weird dark humor, just making fun of the left to the nth degree? Is that a possible justification for some of that?
Well, they go on. Here are CIA officials celebrating the death of Pat Robertson. Remember at 700 Club?
Well, that's distasteful.
This is a recurring theme in the NSA chat rooms. Hatred against Christians, conservatives, Italians, what? And heterosexuals. One intelligence officer even casts aspersions on his own grandmother. Now, that could just be some crazy stuff. But NSA, DIA, and naval intel officials blast libs of TikTok as an effing monster and argue that Ben Shapiro should be expelled from the tribe for constantly spouting hate speech. They also slur Italian Americans as quote-unquote terrible people. So I guess the spies are being spied upon. In a secret NSA chat room, NSA, DNI, and Spacecom officials claim that Tulsi Gabbard is fervently anti-queer, a Russian agent, and a member of the MAGA cult. These employees, including at least one with a they-them pronoun in the bio, are attempting to undermine Gabbard from within.
Hold on. This is in a chat room.
Yeah, this is on the official... It's one of the official chat rooms for the NSA. It's not like a bunch of people's Discord or private text. This is like the community chat room. Like if you have a big business, you're going to have a chat room for the company.
I'm just dumbfounded that they would speak against Italian people and not think that there would be Italian people as a part of the NSA or any of these other groups that, you know, they even mentioned. This is weird, man.
Oh, it's very weird. And, Tulsi Gabbard got right on it. Like, immediately. This is last night on Jesse Waters' show.
See, what we're going to do has already been done. There are over 100 people from across the intelligence community that contributed to and participated in this, what is really just an egregious violation of trust. What to speak of like basic rules and standards around professionalism. I put out a directive today that they all will be terminated and their security clearances will be revoked. But the thing here, Jesse, is that we got to take a step back because this is just barely scratching the surface. When you see what these people were saying, and thanks to Chris Rufo for putting it all out online, they were brazen in using an NSA platform intended for professional use to conduct this kind of really horrific behavior. And they were brazen in doing this because when was the last time anyone was really held accountable? Certainly not over the last 4 years, certainly not over the last 10, maybe 20 years. When we look at some of the biggest violations of the American people's trust in the intelligence community. So today's action in holding these individuals accountable is just the beginning of what we're seeing across the Trump administration, which is carrying out the mandate the American people gave him. Clean house, root out that rot and corruption and weaponization and politicization so we can start to rebuild that trust in these institutions that are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's kind of nuts. It seems like even the so-called deep state is on its back heels. Mm-hmm. And then get a load of this. This is, I'm reading direct from CNN. The headline is how Trump's government cutting moves risk exposing the CIA secrets. And it's CNN breaking up into different sections. The section I'm about to read is called Fired Employees Create Security Risks. Meanwhile, as the CIA weighs staff cuts, current and former intelligence officials say that mass firings could offer a rich recruitment opportunity for foreign intelligence services like China or Russia, who may seek to exploit financially vulnerable or resentful former employees. The Justice Department has charged multiple former military and intelligence officials for providing U.S. intelligence to China in recent years. The agency has already fired more than 20 officers for their work on diversity issues, many of whom are now challenging their dismissal in court. The government has said in court filings that it is still weighing additional cuts to comply with Trump's order to end all diversity work across the federal government. And sources say that career officials at the agency are now working on recommendations about which probationary staff whose names were emailed to the White House should be dismissed. A final number is yet to be determined, one of these people said. None have been accused of misconduct or fired for cause. But unlike most other fired federal employees, all of those people have access to classified information about the agency's operations and tradecraft. Terminating someone who works for the Department of Agriculture, even if they're disgruntled, if they're not accessing classified information, what's the risk? One U.S. official said. With the CIA and other intelligence agencies, you take away whatever number of employees who are going to get cut loose, and they have knowledge of sensitive programs, and that by definition is an insider risk. You're just rolling the dice. These folks are going to honor their secrecy agreement and not volunteer to hostile intelligence service. That comes across as a threat.
It comes off as not realizing that after these folks retire, they're the same sort of risk. They have the same information. They would be a potential hire at that point. And I have to believe that our security agency should be able to keep tabs on, 150, 200, even 1,000 loose ends. And if they get chirpy or have conversations, I'm sure they won't be loose ends very long. Sorry to say.
Well, and at the end of this long thing, another U.S. official sympathetic to Trump's efforts noted that the kind of person who might do such a thing is precisely the type that the agency should be removing from its ranks.
Amen. Yeah.
But that doesn't mean the threat isn't real, and some current and former officials say self-inflicted. I'm not sure the administration really understands that risk, and moreover, even if they understand, it's not clear they care. But the risk is real.
Man, we're going to scratch at the culture of every one of these bodies.
Yep.
And we're going to see the underbelly and how who's good and who's bad.
Well, and here's Tulsi addressing that, in fact.
Don't like getting Doge, so they're going to sell state secrets to our enemies? What are we going to do here?
I am curious about how they think this is a good tactic to keep their job. They're exposing themselves essentially by making this indirect threat, using their propaganda arm through CNN that they've used over and over and over again to reveal their hand, that their loyalty is not at all to America. It is not to the American people or the Constitution. It is to themselves. And these are exactly the kind of people that we need to root out, get rid of, so that the patriots who do work in this area, who are committed to our core mission, can actually focus on that. I got to tell you, one of the byproducts of what I just saw literally today is because of this immediate action of transparency and accountability, I have people within the intelligence community reaching out to me personally and directly saying, hey, you need to know about this. You need to look over here. People are stepping forward because they are all on board with the mission to clean house and refocus on our core mission of serving the American people.
And this is exactly what I was hoping for, not just in the intelligence community, which is the most sensitive and where the stakes, I think, are the highest. But across the board, I think there are, as much as people are celebrating the cuts, there are many people in the federal workforce who have seen the nonsense for years. In fact, the Breakfast Club with Charlemagne and that whole crew, they had a federal worker call in. And she's like, this is about time, talking about the email. Like, what 5 things? You better answer that email. I answered it in a few minutes. What the heck is wrong with all my fellow coworkers? That they don't have the pride in the work they do. And you can tell there are many federal workers in different agencies who've seen the crap. And they're over it. And now they're going to these new outsiders that are coming in who they genuinely trust because they are outsiders. And they're saying, here's where all the bodies are buried.
It's not apples to apples, but from my experience, working for a government agency, I would say 15, maybe even 20%, but I think 15 is probably a more accurate number. Bad dead weight could just go home and everything would operate just as smoothly.
Yeah, and by that stuff from CNN, that's a not so veiled threat. Like, we're going to start leaking a bunch of stuff and we'll then leak it to the press that we leaked it to some foreign power, and we'll have some big story. The Trump administration gave top secret, like super duper special access secrets to the Chinese.
CNN needs to remember they're part of one of those institutions that are losing credibility as well. Playing partisan politics and stuff like that right now, I don't think is actually a good look for them.
Let's go to line 1 and talk to Sam. Hey, Sam.
Hey, Joey, thanks for taking my call. I'm enjoying the show, of course, and a couple things hit me. Excuse me. What you're talking about with the NSA, the secrets. You know, I myself, at one time, I held a security clearance. And my secrets that I have in my head right now could only do one thing after all these years, is that get me locked up. That's what I'm saying. The answer to this is simple. Somebody runs their mouth, and you can get arrested over it. It's just, that's what I'm saying. There is a check and balance to that. Excuse me.
Well, but anybody to run out to the press, a U.S. official has worked that world and be like, well, all these folks could turn to the enemy. It's just, you're gross. You're gross, bad people.
Well, that, and it's also, it's kind of amateur. It's the kind of stunt I pull on the radio. You know, I call in, I like to throw bombs, make wild speculation.
Yeah.
It's, my privilege. But, that's but there's so many people involved, and then everybody's going to foul. But yeah, it's easy to find. But listen, this is about the NSA. This hit me yesterday at talking about the company you keep. When this crowd that's in charge, like I said, of the NSA, but in their text they're talking about there's new plastic junk and how much is it? They're all insane, Joey. That's it. And if they're insane, the people around them are nuts. And at the highest level there at the NSA. So that's Colonel Gabbard, Miss Tulsa Gabbard. God bless her. She's got her hands full. But isn't it amazing, this team, the people that are in place to handle these problems and to
it's refreshing.
Just to expose. I've asked and prayed for transparency, and good Lord, it looks like we're going to get some. I'm just blown away. That's what I want to share.
Well, I appreciate it as always, Sam.
Yeah, man. No, we had a field hospital. Task force was set up in '95 in Honduras. Tulsa Gabbard, Colonel Gabbard. When they talk about what she does, her side gig, she runs a hospital. It's an amazing thing to see. Anyway, that's all I got, guys. I'm having lunch. What y'all doing?
I'm just carrying on like the wayward sons we are. I appreciate it, man.
What's up, Sam? Thanks.
Let's go to line 4. You're on there. Who's this?
Hey, man. So, got recruited by the CIA, right, during that job placement deal. You probably went through job placement at Auburn, too. And I had a few degrees. And so I'm talking. And my buddy, who was, the same thing, finance and economics, so he took the gig with him, right? I called, we kept in touch for a while. And so I'm thinking he's like James Bond or something like that. Actually, the CIA, there's a lot of those people. They don't really have any secrets. His whole job was like tracking the number of ships that go in and out of a port and how heavy they are and how deep they draft to know how much stuff. I mean, all that's what Central Intelligence is. Intelligence. I mean, you got it tells you, how the economy's doing, how their crops are doing, and all that kind of stuff, which it may be important down the road for something else, or I don't know. But they gather intelligence. A lot of it is trivial. It's not like how fast certain plane flies or what its real ceiling is and all that. Sam would know more of that because he was more on the battle stuff. I'm talking about the bureaucrats that never leave the country, that just track stuff off satellites and all that. So, yeah, there's a lot of those, and who cares? They don't know anything anyway, except, I know y'all had 800 boats last year, and the year before you had 912, so you must have had, the drought. Oh, yeah, he tracks the rain and all that. Anyway, it's just economic intelligence that he did, which is what I would be doing, and I'd be bored to tears. I wanted that little 6 hour, and the hot girl in the little car that goes underwater.
You wanted to be James Bond.
Is this guy?
Well, yeah, I did a fat one. But anyway.
Appreciate it, Biloxi Gambler.
Talk to y'all later.
Good call. No, that's Biloxi Gambler. He used to be a comedian, like true traveling stand-up. It's a crazy life, especially when he was doing it. I mean, there's been a comedy boom, of course, last few years. I'm almost wondering when that will go down. I don't know if it will, because of what, in particular, Rogan has made out of Austin, Texas. Like, apparently, because there's so many comedy clubs now in the main strip, you can go, if you're a developing comedian, you're good enough to where you can get the work, you can do 5-6 hits a night in one night and really get better at it.
What we were talking about the other day, content creators. I mean, that's a main art form to generate those hits on social.
Yeah. 272-9228. That's 334-272-9228. Let's go to T-Spear. Hey, T-Spear.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Good afternoon.
Of course, Molly hears me on the damn phone. What does she do? That's nothing. You want a dog?
What kind?
I'll give you a dog. What kind? Yorkshire Terrier.
Little dog.
A rocking bark.
I can hear her. And her name's Abigail, right?
No, that's Molly.
Oh, okay.
The one that is barking is Molly. Abigail is my service dog. And she goes everywhere with me. And then Duncan is my new little boy, and he and Abigail are going to make babies.
Oh, nice.
But needless to say, I want to go back to this discussion of the people telling secrets. Do they know what the meaning of treason is?
Oh, that would be it.
Okay. Do they know what the consequences of committing treason is?
Someone may have to learn to be reminded.
Okay. And if they get reminded, what is the what's the sentence for treason?
I'm pretty sure it's the gallows and a noose.
And death.
Up to and including death. Now, my ex-husband was a nuclear weapons officer on board a nuclear submarine. I had nuclear information in my house all the time. Therefore, when I was there, wives had to be investigated just as much as husbands had to be investigated. Why would anyone in their right mind want to commit suicide? Because that's what it is. Is you are not only putting, you may be ticked off at the country to where you say things that you shouldn't, but the minute you do, you put other people's lives at risk, and you may not care about other people, but your life is at risk as well. And as far as I'm concerned, anyone who commits treason needs to be put up on a wall. They can either have a blindfold or not. They can have a cigarette if they want one. And their life needs to be over, and it needs to be done really quick. Or go back to my good old recyclable noose. I have no problems at all with that either.
After due
These
process,
people
of
in
course.
Washington,
Yes.
Pardon?
After due process, of course.
These people in Washington or anywhere else that they are, because they could be anywhere in the United States or anywhere in the world for that matter, if you get so pissed off that you got fired for reason, you don't need to be having those secrets. Back during World War II, there were various hotels, especially in Europe, where the United States didn't have to pay attention to American laws. There were several, quote, hotels that you checked in, but you never checked out. And they were specifically for people who couldn't keep their mouths shut.
Yeah, no, it's a very serious thing, and for CNN to flippantly kind of throw this out there is,
You got it.
There's a reason we all think they're miserable. I appreciate the call, T-Spirit, really do.
Thanks a lot, guys. Y'all keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Again, 272-9228. Let's see if this is on line one. You're on there. Who's this?
Papa B.
Hey, Papa B, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Hang on a minute. I got to turn this phone up. Hang on. Can you hear me okay?
I hear something in the background. Is that a plane?
Sounds like a
No, that's me trying to stay on the road.
Oh. Okay.
And turn my phone up at the same time. So anyway. Well, I tell you what, how refreshing is it to see a young leader, you know, like Christy, is it Nome?
Mhm.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And Tulsi Gabbard, Pam Bondi. And boy, talk about central casting. Trump knows how to pick them. I'm telling you, dude. He puts them up there ready for the camera.
Man understands
not?
TV, right?
Oh, absolutely. And to your point, because this clip is short, did you hear the Defense Secretary Hegseth address officers and crew aboard the USS Thomas Hudner?
I didn't. What
Here, let me play it real quick because it's only about a minute long and it's worth playing and listening to. This is him on the vessel speaking over the intercom.
On behalf of the Commander-in-Chief, on behalf of President Donald Trump, I want to thank you for everything you do for our nation, for our republic, for the security of so many Americans who are grateful for what you do in far-off places, in the middle of the night, with a high threat level and a lot of uncertainty, sometimes with a mission that's clear, sometimes with a mission that's not so clear. And no matter what, you execute. And I am humbled to have the opportunity to lead you, to give advice, and to make sure that we put in harm's way. You are given absolutely everything you need to overwhelm and destroy the enemy, hopefully to deter them, so we don't have to fight these wars. But we do that. We have overwhelming capabilities. It's not a fair fight. You're trained properly with the equipment that you need. You're as lethal as possible so that we can end the fight and bring you home
Here,
to those
Western
you love.
way of war is back.
Wow, that's awesome. And that's the kind of those are the kind of words that make sense. We don't have a military in order to make people feel good about their sexual orientation, or to ensure that everybody accepts everybody's worldview about sex and force it down people's throats. I think Rush Limbaugh used to say it best. Okay, our military is there to kill people and break things.
Yep,
that's what they do, and that's why we have them. We're not doing a social experiment here, folks, or not supposed to be. But I mean, to my point, all of these new leaders now. I know when I say young, they're younger than me, and I'm downrange, okay? But to see people in that age group and even younger now coming along and, being proud of their country and actually, rejecting all of this stuff that the Democrats have forced, have really supported over the years, it's just so good to see. I'm so very glad of it.
I am too, man. And it's like, whether it's Gabbard or any of these people, I hear what they've done, and they're like, 5-6 years older than me, and I'm like, dadgummit, I'm small.
Yeah, what have you done, Joey?
I talk on the radio.
What have you done with your life?
It's hundreds at a time.
I got a nephew, okay? He was at Naval Academy. He's down in what is it, Pensacola? Is that where the big base is down there? Learning how to fly. Now he wants to be a fighter pilot.
You talking about Eglin?
I'm telling you what, Eglin. There you go. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, this guy is like unreal in terms of his athletic ability, his mental abilities, intellect, and that kind of thing. He just is like above and beyond. He has two brothers, and they're great kids. All of them, all those kids are really great. But this one nephew, he won like an award in field track and field,
mm-hmm.
and set some records, and in the Naval Academy there. And so the older one wrote to the younger one, "Hey, this brother broke world set records at track and field at Naval Academy. What have you done with your life?" He just rubbing it in his face,
Sometimes friendly competition, that's the way to go. Like, you gotta aspire to be more.
I know. Anyway, like I said, I'm just glad to see their younger people, the younger generation, coming along. And it's great to see what all they're doing.
You're here.
That's good.
Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
272-9228. This part of the program, in fact, the entire hour, brought to you by Alabama Home Mortgage. And their Alabama Home Mortgage, Kim Williams and Madeline Cannon, ready to help you out with buying a home, or if you're looking to refinance a home, and especially if you're a veteran. I know we have a lot of veterans here in the area, and if you've not taken advantage of those VA home loan benefits that you earned through your service, you're leaving money on the table. It really is the best deal in the mortgage market. And you might think, well, I already used it, or I didn't qualify for it. No, call the pros there. Call the experts at Alabama Home Mortgage. Again, Kim and Madeline take this really seriously. They know the latest with the VA home loan programs, and they can get you an amazing deal. Again, whether you're looking to buy a home or if you're looking to refinance, maybe to restructure debt or just get on a more sound financial footing in general. Call them up today at 567-4223. It's really just a quick conversation at 567-4223. And, of course, you can always answer those questions online. Apply online at myalabamahomemortgage.com. There is a difference in mortgage companies. Let Kim and Madeline proved that to you today. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings 6 till 9 and afternoons 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Rich Thomas Weather, a service of Riverside Chevrolet Wetumpka. If it's Chevy, it's Riverside. Best price, best selection. Check them out on the web at riversideusa.net.
We are enjoying some really nice weather on these last few days of February, and even the first weekend of March looks great. Today, spring-like, beautiful. The warming trend continues high, up to about 77, plenty of sunshine. Mostly clear, 51 the low tonight. Tomorrow we have a weak front approaches. I guess there could be some widely scattered, isolated showers in the afternoon. Many towns stay dry, high 71. Behind the front, abundant sunshine Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Will be in the upper 60s Friday, low 70s on Saturday, and near 70 on Sunday.
For reliable electrical services in Central Alabama, trust the experts at Crosby Electric. Crosby's licensed and insured electricians are ready to tackle any project for your home, from troubleshooting, repairs, to installing new lighting and preventive maintenance. And Crosby understands the need for quality service for small business. Crosby is big enough for the largest job, yet small enough to bring real value. Visit CrosbyElectric.com to schedule your service. Crosby, powering Central Alabama with excellence.
Hello, everyone. Robbie Pelt with Capital City Roofing. If you think about it, your home is your biggest investment in life. Your roof covers your home, so why jeopardize your biggest investment on a roofer you don't know anything about when you can deal with a reputable roofing company like Capital City Roofing? We have an A+ Better Business rating and the best manufacturers and workmanship warranties available. We do all residential and commercial roofing applications that are certified through the manufacturer to ensure you get the best material and workmanship money can buy. We also have your project in our best interest before and after construction has been done. Don't hesitate to call us if you have any roofing issues or questions. We will match any of our competitors' price and give you the same great workmanship warranty. We also give free estimates. Give us a call today and let us show you the difference. 277-3311. That's 277-3311. Or you can check us out on the web at www.capitalcityroofing.com. Capital City Roofing. We capitalize the roofing industry.
Are you tired of the mainstream media's biased reporting? Do you want to stay informed on the news that really matters to you? Look no further than 1819 News. At 1819 News, we bring you the latest in Alabama news, politics, sports, culture, and more. We've assembled a team of journalists with Alabama values dedicated to the truth and the truth alone. Visit us at 1819news.com today. That's 1819news.com. Subscribe to our newsletter. Honest News, Alabama Values. This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender.
All the headlines the mainstream media won't touch. Your News Talk station. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Let's go right to the phones and talk to Cooper. Hey, Cooper, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Good.
I'm flabbergasted with these idiots threatening us with treason.
All right.
That's just unbelievable.
Yeah, it is unbelievable. It is, I think, a sign of weakness, though. They don't know what else to put out there.
Oh, it's panic. They're panicking. But Trump and Elon and all the rest of the cabinet members, they're going to stay the course, I think.
Yeah, I think they're pushing through, and I might in the last hour coming up, they had the first cabinet meeting, and they had a lot of different points of all the things they've gotten done in just a month. And and there will always be mistakes. And that's, by the way, what I love about Elon Musk. He's like, yeah, of course there's going to be mistakes. That's the whole reason for this approach, to kind of break things a little bit, and then we can put them back together in the right way, in a better way.
Can I make one suggestion / request?
Sure.
You read a piece the other day. I think his name was Jeffrey Tucker or Jeff Tucker.
Yeah.
at least once a week, if not once a day. Would you read that again?
Sure,
I mean, it is so good.
And I might be able to, even though he's been retweeted by Elon a few times, I might be able to get him back on the show. He was on not too long ago. So.
Oh, well, I'm sorry I missed him, but hopefully you can get him back in the future.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate it, Cooper. Happy to do that. Jeffrey Tucker's a great writer, really insightful.
Yeah, I've been meaning, since I heard you give that, I've been meaning to go online and kind of look up some of the stuff. I hadn't had a chance, but I'm definitely going to.
Well, I'll have to do that. Good request. I appreciate it, Cooper.
Okay, doke. Bye-bye.
In 272-9228. And it's kind of crazy seeing all the libertarian world has its schisms and personalities. People didn't get along and whatnot. And that just happens going through life. But to see folks I was getting to know in 2014, 2015, who's been through trials and tribulations on their own, and I know way too much about some folks. When you get close to people, you learn about personal stuff. But to see folks on the other side of that and really doing well, it's like, it's heartening. And it's not just the person doing well. It's like these ideas that felt, especially when I first started here 12, 13 years ago, so marginal, so fringe. Like nobody's going to do that. No way we could. And to see what a difference a decade has made, I have to admit, I didn't believe enough.
Technology caught up to the hopes and dreams.
Yeah.
Maybe might be a good way to say it.
And maybe a more practical libertarian point of view is the future of, say, what's going on with the internet, what's going on with the technological revolution.
But going back,
but I mean practical. I don't mean like we're going to have some utopia of utopias. Right. I mean like, no, we're going to go for practical goals based on these principles. So we're going to downsize government in these particular ways.
Make it more efficient.
Yes, we're going to treat our foreign policy in these particular ways. We're not going to be sort of this indispensable nation where we're always playing the role of Captain America like it's 1939 all the time.
Well, the neocons aren't going away. The war machine's not going away.
That's true.
Keeping it at bay is, just about as good as we can do. And I think the trade-off with having another competing superpower will kind of satisfy their need, because they're going to have to be able to build stuff to counter that. So I do see things getting better as far as stability moving forward.
I think so, too.
And I think we're definitely on the right track, so long as we can keep a Republican Congress in there that actually follows along and doesn't get so concerned about their re-elect.
Well, and to me, the saddest thing on the foreign policy front is how many liberals who used to agree with all the libertarians, and some have come along. Glenn Greenwald's still great. Glenn Greenwald's fantastic. Matt Taibbi, still great. These were darlings of the left during the Bush years. And some of these folks still remain great. But so many folks on the left just completely lost their sense of war is bad because it unnecessarily kills people. It's mass murder.
So they're not as... you give people long enough and they'll show you who they are. And we're learning who does stand on principle and who stands on political expediency.
And so you're thinking, what does Trump sound like? He sounds like the realist school. Now, as we went over with Judge Knapp, somebody like Professor Jeffrey Sachs is more your optimistic realist. Mm-hmm. He's a much more optimistic view of human nature, that the great powers can all sign treaties and we can live happily ever after. I tend to disagree with that. I tend to agree more with what you might call aggressive or tragic realism. It's a tragic view of human nature, that the world order is anarchic. Not Antarctic. Not Antarctic. That's the South Pole. But yeah, it's anarchy between nations. There's no one big ruler over all nations, and there are ways of that game will be played. The anarchy game will be played in particular ways, in the sense that the nations will seek and pursue their own self-interest.
Always.
And I just tend to agree with that sense. And John Mearsheimer's a premier example of that. I don't agree with Mearsheimer on every single thing he says. That would be dumb of anybody to agree with everybody 100%. But this is a quote from 10 years ago, I believe 2014. It's right after The government in Ukraine is overthrown and the new democratic Western government is installed, right? Then the Russians take Crimea. Then a civil war breaks out where thousands die over years. It's incredible, too, how all these folks have Ukraine flags and stuff. I mean, if you're Ukrainian, you probably cared. But, like, Americans, like, how much were y'all paying attention in 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019? Yeah, how much were you paying attention to all this stuff? All the fighting and dying that was going on then. So this is what Mearsheimer said in 2014, right after I think this whole saga really starts to kick off. And I didn't know him as well back then, but I remember just from being a libertarian skeptical of, especially after the debacles in the Middle East and Obama and Libya and all this stuff, the Arab Spring was a bloody mess, thinking, really? Like, everybody was freaking out when the Russians took Crimea. I'm like, do you live, again, I've yelled this before, do you live in a cotton candy house? They have a naval base there with 40,000 troops. It's the Black Sea Fleet. You think they're just going to give it up now that this, oh, we'll lease it to you? Well, they don't seem like they're that friendly to want to actually lease it to us. So we're going to take it to make sure. So here's what Mearsheimer said about a decade ago. He said, quote, "What's going on here is that the West is leading Ukraine down the primrose path. And the end result is that Ukraine is going to get wrecked. And I believe that the policy that I'm advocating, which is neutralizing Ukraine and then building it up economically and getting it out of the competition between Russia on one side and NATO on the other side, is the best thing that could happen to the Ukrainians. What we're doing is encouraging the Ukrainians to play tough with the Russians. We're encouraging the Ukrainians to think that they will ultimately become part of the West because we will ultimately defeat Putin and we will ultimately get our way. And of course, the Ukrainians are playing along with us, and the Ukrainians are almost completely unwilling to compromise with the Russians and instead want to pursue a hard-line policy. Well, as I said to you before, if they do that, the end result is that their country is going to be wrecked. And what we're doing is, in effect, encouraging that outcome. I think it would make much more sense for us to work to create a neutral Ukraine. It would be in our interest to bury this crisis as quickly as possible. It certainly would be in Russia's interest to do so. And most importantly, it would be in Ukraine's interest to put an end to the crisis. Well, fast forward 10 years, I think the man was right.
Nailed it.
And though, like the first big paper I had to write at Auburn, I took a geopolitics class.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a guy who's very much in the EU mindset. Like the EU can do no wrong. Like he was a very neoliberal, essentially. Love this stuff. And he randomly assigned different countries you should do an analysis on a proposal. What should they do in the years ahead? And I happened to get, and this must have been what, 2008? I happened to be looking at Ukraine. Now, I imagine if I've lost it, but if I could go back and find that paper, it's probably not that good. But my basic instinct, looking at the situation in Ukraine all those years ago, and what, that would be crap. Like getting nearly 20 years ago. Wow.
It's real when you say it out loud.
It is weird. But my basic instinct was like, yeah, Ukraine should be neutral. They should be a buffer zone between East and West. They should cooperate with the Europeans and the Russians, no matter how much the Russians or the Europeans try to play hardball with them. Mm-hmm. They need to, and maybe bringing in the United States as essentially a partner to keep, but the question becomes, is the United States willing to play that game for a neutral Ukraine? But it made too much sense because of the natural resources, because of crucial pipelines that run through the country. It's the breadbasket of the world, just as it was the breadbasket of the Soviet Union. There are so many military interests for the Russians there. And yes, the Russians are paranoid, and it's a kleptocracy. It's a gangster government. All governments are a little gangster, but they also have, I think, real interest, though I don't share their paranoia. If you look like the Nazis invaded through the Eastern European plain, Napoleon invaded through the Eastern European plain. Like it's in their living kind of memory and history. And a lot of people died, especially in World War II, because of this. And yes, are they paranoid about the United States? Sure. But how would we feel if there were cruise missiles right in Mexico? And by the way, we're about to test what the United States does in its own backyard. How do you think we're going to treat the cartels if this thing gets kinetic? Gloves off?
The cartels?
Yeah. How like, oh, well, you can't. Those are war crimes. Those are, like, what do you can't invade a sovereign country and all.
Yeah, okay. I watched, what's the, shoot, the cartel movie where the special forces in the United States goes down to Mexico and busts up the gangs, Sicario.
Yeah. Oh, good movie.
Yeah, but yeah, we don't do stuff like that.
No. Here, I've ranted for too long. Got to hit a quick break. We'll be right back.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
No one wants to wait on service for an overhead door. With 20 years in the industry, you now have access to the best with All Access Overhead Door. All Access Overhead Doors offers prompt, professional service at affordable prices on all service and new garage doors for residential and commercial locations. All Access Overhead Door serves the river region and can take care of whatever you need when it comes to your overhead door. Remember, you have access to the best. All Access Overhead Door. Call and schedule an appointment today. 320-2440. And like them on Facebook. They sell the best and service the rest.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
We get Montgomery talking 24 hours a day. The River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM, WACB.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Let's go right to the phones and talk to Michael Cohen of Cohen's Electronics and Appliances. Hey, Michael, how you doing today, sir?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh, I'm actually in a good mood. I think I actually slept well last night. And, I was a little sad because Eddie's not here today, as you can tell.
I can tell.
And you know what the excuse he came up with?
No.
He's babysitting his grandchildren. That
family
priorities, man. Come on,
man. This could be a fun day.
Yeah, no, he's probably have the best day of all of us right now.
That's right.
So what's the score there today at Cohen?
It's 31-3. I had Michael Jackson come in early, and he's at the lake. Had one customer to install a couple of TVs for. Got another customer that we're doing some outside speakers. And these are some pretty powerful outside speakers where you have a subwoofer that is buried in the ground, and then you have two satellite speakers and big ugly amplifier to get loud and obnoxious, and everybody will be happy probably in about 3 hours when he's done.
Very cool. Yeah, seeing him at work, man, he gets the job done. Well, and I think it's somewhat like he doesn't want to have to come back and do it again. Like he wants to thoroughly get it done.
Well, that's right. And if you do it right the first time, then you don't have to come back. We had one customer that didn't want anything smart because he says, I'm never going to go smart, blah, blah, blah. And then he has a problem with his cable box. And I'm like, well, do we have to roll a truck? And Michael's like, well, even though he said no, don't set it up, he said I still set it up. So anyway, they get on there and they tell him how to go to the app and how to log in, and he's up and running. So he's all happy now.
Beautiful.
But he tries to do everything he can to circumvent the hiccups in the future.
Well, and folks, if you're looking for great products, electronics and appliances, but also, as we just mentioned, their fantastic service, just go to Cohen's. And of course, you can always peruse, shop from home there at thinkcohens.com. But I really encourage you to stop by here in Montgomery, 2515 Eastern Boulevard. They're open 9 to 6 Monday through Friday, 9 to 4 on Saturdays. And be sure to find Michael and be like, I heard you on there with that Joey Clark guy.
That's right. Y'all come see us and let us help you make the right choice for whatever your needs are, whether they're appliances or electronics. It's all about being happy after you make the purchase, and that's what we try to strive for.
Well, I appreciate it, Michael. Hope you have a good rest of the day, man.
Hey, you too. Take care.
Again, that's Michael Cohen with Cohen's Electronics and Appliances. Great sponsor of the program. Final hour coming up. Y'all stay tuned.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusana, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN's News, I'm Jason Walker. Senior Ukrainian officials say Kyiv and Washington have reached an agreement on a basic framework for an economic deal. It would include access to Ukraine's rare earth minerals. Workplace communications platform Slack experienced an outage this morning. Tens of thousands of users unable to use the service. Company spokesman says they're trying to get things back in order. On a 56-43 vote today, the Senate confirming Jamison Greer to be America's top trade negotiator. Greer is a veteran of President Trump's first-term economic battles with China, Mexico, and Canada. And the House has approved a budget favoring the Trump domestic agenda. That vote last night, it was close, 217 to 215. This is SRN News.
For many out on the streets with no address, when the hope dies, it's hard to be found.
You get these people off our streets now.
It's not that simple. They're human beings. Where are they meant to go?
Homelessness could happen to anyone.
I don't know how much longer I can do this.
Their story is our story.
You never know in life why things work out the way they do. Never give up.
No Address, starring William Baldwin, Ashanti, and Ty Pennington. In theaters this Friday. Get your tickets at noaddressmovie.com.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that is MediShare. Maybe you've heard joining MediShare can save families up to $500 a month, and obviously that's a big deal, but they like it too, especially being part of something that reflects their values instead of working against them. So yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. Find out more. Call 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34.
Rich Thomas Weather, a service of Wiley Sanders Truck Lines, where over-the-road dump truck drivers are needed right now. Home twice a week and every weekend. Must leave early on Sunday with Blue Cross Blue Shield. Call them now at 855-777-9785.
We are enjoying some really nice weather on these last few days of February, and even the first weekend of March looks great. Today, spring-like, beautiful. The warming trend continues high, up to about 77, plenty of sunshine. Mostly clear, 51 the low tonight. Tomorrow we have a weak front approaches. I guess there could be some widely scattered, isolated showers in the afternoon. Many towns stay dry, high 71. Behind the front, abundant sunshine Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Will be in the upper 60s Friday, low 70s on Saturday, and near 70 on Sunday.
Budget Floors and More is your low-price leader for everything you need for flooring and DIY flooring installation supplies. For the best prices on luxury vinyl plank, carpet, ceramic tile, flooring installation supplies, and more, shop Budget Floors and More, Hunter Lane across from Del Rey to Publix.
1819 News.
Democrat Congresswoman Terry Sewell is outraged at the actions coming from Elon Musk and his Department of Government Efficiency. Sewell's outrage comes after more than 100 federal employees within the Social Security Administration were fired this past Tuesday. Sewell originally reported that all of those firings had to do with Alabama, but it turns out that the employees are from the Social Security Region 4, which covers a variety of states, not just Alabama. Nevertheless, Sewell maintains that Musk is on a reckless power trip that is threatening the livelihoods of her constituents. I'll be back with more Alabama stories after this.
Where I was living was not a great place to live anymore. I began to pray for a place to go, praying for all of these things that a 9-year-old would want. I wanted horses, big house with a bunch of people my age. I wanted parents. I wanted a mom and a dad. Before I even prayed it, the Lord had already answered my prayer with the Big Oak Ranch. Who would that 9-year-old be if she never came to the Big Oak Ranch? I would be trying to fight for survival instead of fighting to break a cycle.
Big Oak Ranch, a Christian home for children needing a chance.
The Alabama Senate voted unanimously this week to pass a ban on Glock switches and other conversion devices for firearms. The bill is similar to federal law that also bans Glock switches. That device will convert a semi-automatic weapon into a fully automatic weapon, sometimes referred to as a machine gun. The bill now heads over to the Alabama House. A Grand Bay man is being charged for the overdose death of another man. Mobile police investigated the death of 25-year-old Derek Kiles Jr., and it was found out that he was sold fentanyl that caused his overdose death. Now 26-year-old Javante Johnson is in police custody. An illegal alien was sentenced to 2 years in prison for possession of a firearm. Joel Armando Martin is originally from Guatemala. He pleaded guilty to the charges. He was arrested back in 2024 during a traffic stop in which authorities found a loaded AR rifle along with 11 magazines and ammunition. I'm Andrea Tice.
For more news affecting Alabamians, go to 1819news.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the daily newsletter.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
Hi, this is Bo Goodson with the Goodson Group with your Real Estate Minute. My last message was the report for 2024 real estate market in the River region. According to industry experts, they predict for 2025, we will have more inventory to choose from for our buyers, more buyers for sellers to show their houses to. Here are 5 tips for buyers or sellers in 2025. Number 1, sellers need to price their home at fair market value with the help of your realtor. Number 2, buyers need to be pre-qualified by a local lender prior to shopping for a house to save them time. Number 3, use a certified residential specialist or CRS to purchase or sell your home. Less than 2% of realtors nationwide have this designation. You need an expert now. 4, use someone with 48 years of real estate experience to help you with your largest investment. Number 5, quit waiting. Now's the time to buy or sell. Call Bo Goodson at 221-2883, the Goodson Group, or 551-0225.
This is your roving reporter, and today I am talking with an elk. Hey man, Mr. Elk, I was just wondering, what do elk do to take care of their money?
Well, like most smart folks, we call David Ernest.
You mean Alabama's most favorite asset preservationist?
That's him, man. We call him up at 334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839.
I see.
Yes, he is our preferred money man.
The money man with the money plan.
You've been paying attention.
Well, could you give us those numbers one more time?
334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839. And I just want to try to give you a heads up, man.
Oh, what's that?
I'm not an elk.
Not an elk, huh? Well, then, pray tell, what are you?
Knights of Columbus.
I am not even going to make a comment.
Well, the baby liked it.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's News and Views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. I'm here with Joey Clark, Byron Sheehy here in the studio. Day is flying by, and I like that. Now, breaking from politics for a second, I'm looking at a website called Religion Unplugged. And after years of decline, reads the headline, after years of decline, share of U.S. Christians stabilizes. While the Christian share of the U.S. population has remained relatively stable in recent years, the country's religious composition continues to evolve. For the first time in decades, a new study shows that the proportion of Americans identifying as Christian has stopped its long-term decline, holding steady at 62%. Meanwhile, the number of religiously unaffiliated individuals, though still high, has leveled off after decades of growth. It's very striking to us to have observed this recent trend in stability over a long period of decline, says Greg Smith, Senior Associate Director of Research at the Pew Research Center. The data from the Pew Research Center's Religious Landscape Study revealed a complex landscape. Of the 62% who identify as Christians, 40% are Protestant, 19% are Catholic, and 3% belonging to other Christian denominations. A significant 29% of Americans claim no religious affiliation, with 5% identifying as atheists, 6% as agnostic, and 19% as nothing in particular, the study found. Meanwhile, 7% of the population practices religious traditions outside Christianity, including 2% who are Jewish and a smaller percentage of Muslims, Buddhists, and Hindus. John C. Green, a professor of political science at Akron University and senior fellow at the Pew Forum on Religion and Public Life, said he was surprised by the pause in the recent secular surge, with the level religious of affiliation stabilizing after decades of decline. This pattern is especially surprising given the disruptions of the pandemic, he added. As the U.S. continues to evolve religiously, the Pew study underscores the complex and shifting nature of religious belief and practice in America. While Christianity remains the dominant faith, trends suggest that the future may hold further diversification, fueled by immigration and secularization, triggered by younger generations. The nonpartisan study remains vital because it surveyed all 50 U.S. states and 34 metro areas. The U.S. Census, by comparison, does not ask the people's religious affiliations. Now, one of the key findings of the study is the relative stability in certain aspects of religious practice. For instance, 44% of U.S. adults report praying at least once a day, a figure that, despite a notable decline from 2007 levels, has remained steady since 2021. Similarly, 33% attend religious services at least once a month, a number that has also remained relatively constant since 2020. While these measures suggest ongoing engagement with religious practices, they indicate that religiosity in the U.S. may not be experiencing a major resurgence. I'm fascinated by the extensive and varied forms of spirituality reported in the study. Large majorities of Americans, including many of the unaffiliated, report supernatural beliefs and related behaviors, some quite novel and some quite conventional. At root, these concerns are more experiential and personal than institutional and political. The study also highlights significant shifts in American religious belief. Despite a decline in organized religious affiliation, large majorities continue to hold spiritual and supernatural beliefs. For example, 86% of Americans believe in the existence of soul or spirit. 83% said they believe in God or a universal spirit, and 70% believe in heaven or hell. Well, how does it break down along generational divides? The data points to a potential future decline in religious engagement. Younger adults in particular are far less religious than older generations, with little evidence to suggest that younger generations are becoming more religious as they age. The dynamics of faith in the U.S. remains, according to the study, key to understanding the country's recent religious trajectory. The large size of the new survey makes it possible to paint a religious and spiritual profile of the nation's youngest adults with unique precision. Today's young adults exhibit far lower levels of religiousness than older adults. For example, 27% of adults between the approximate ages of 18 to 24 in the survey say they pray daily, as do 31% of those ages 24 to 34. But among adults ages 54 and older, half or more say they pray daily. The study also finds that fewer young people raised in highly religious households are maintaining that level of religiosity as adults. In contrast, the study said the quote-unquote stickiness of a non-religious upbringing appears to be growing, with fewer young people transitioning to religious belief as they grow older. Secular forces that have undergirded the long-term decline are still in place. In order for future religious declines to take place, Smith said young adults today would have to become more religious as they get older in order to stop those declines. It's fascinating.
I think that's happening. I think that younger people are becoming more spiritual first than religious as they get older. And I don't know if I'm not going to say causation, but I do think that there's a correlation to the more well-known figures in the scientific community now leaning back more towards God than just an accident. I do think that humans, with all of our selfish tendencies and hubris, like we want to believe that we're all powerful, but the older you get, the more you realize that you're not. So I think that kind of explains some of the gap around our generation. So,
absolutely.
So,
and then real quick, the breakdown, other noteworthy findings include the rise of non-denominational Protestantism and the continued decline of traditional Christian denominations. Evangelical Protestants now make up 23% of U.S. adults, down from 26% in 2007. Mainline Protestants have decreased from 18% to 11%, while the United Methodist Church has also seen a decline, comprising slightly fewer than 3% of U.S. adults, down from 5% nearly 2 decades ago. Gender, political ideology, and race also play significant roles in the religious landscape. Women remain more religious than men across several measures, though the gap has narrowed, the data shows, especially among younger adults. It is not reversed, but the gap is narrowing. Politically self-identified political progressives are now less likely to identify as Christian, with only 37% of them identifying as such, a steep decline from 62% in 2007. Holy moly. In contrast, political conservatives continue to maintain a high Christian affiliation, though their share has decreased from 89% to 82%. The study also explored religious trends across different racial and ethnic groups. Data shows that a majority of religious service attendees report that most members of their congregation share their race or ethnicity. The trend is even more pronounced when looking back at childhood experiences, with 78% of adults saying their childhood religious communities were racially homogeneous. Immigration has also helped shape the current U.S. religious landscape. While 58% of U.S. immigrants identify as Christian, about 25% are religiously unaffiliated and 14% belong to other faiths, Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism being the most common. Most immigrants to the U.S. who were born in other parts of the Americas are Christian, that's 72%, including 45% who identify as Catholic. Among immigrants from Europe, 57% are Christian, 8% identify with other religions, and 34% are religiously unaffiliated. Immigrants born in the Asia-Pacific region are divided about evenly between Christians, adherents of non-Christian religions, and the survey did not include enough respondents born in the Middle East, North Africa, or Sub-Saharan Africa regions to be able to report on them separately. But immigrants are driving the growth of non-Christian religions and also helping to reinforce the growth of Christianity at the same time.
And Europe's a bunch of heathens.
Oh, yeah. Now, my just working theory, I haven't worked all this out, is I look at this area, like the entire, say, Montgomery metro area. Let's throw in also the surrounding counties around Montgomery County, like Elmore, Doggin, like you can bring them all in, kind of this community here in the central part of Alabama. And I imagine, without even looking at the numbers, the religiosity here in this area is more than the general population in the United States. That's, I think, a safe thing to say. But what I find fascinating is you could drive around this whole area and you're probably going to find 1,000 churches. And some of the same denomination and within Christianity. But you drive around and you're like, man, it seems so fragmented. Like, I wonder what could happen if people came together. And another trend that's happening, especially with young people, and that's what this study's really wondering about, are young people as they grow older. So far, they're not becoming more religious as they grow older, even after having kids and whatnot. But a big trend amongst young people, could you say, is the comedy boom? There's been a massive comedy boom, especially with alternative media.
Right.
Like, the comedian seems to be the one that has the biggest podcast, has some huge live shows that you've got a bunch now just making a bunch of money. And all sorts of folks are trying to jump into that world. And it gets me thinking about, I guess I'm stealing some of this from people like Jordan Peterson, that if you look at, say, like Jungian psychology, the idea of the trickster or the idea of the fool is often the precursor to a savior. So what I mean, like, even if people aren't explicitly comedians, think of all the tricksters that are online in particular, all the so-called trolls. And everybody's got a little bit of that in them. And it's sort of being brought out more and more. Now, tricksters and fools can lead you down a terrible, dark path. Laughter isn't always pointing you to the right direction. But I think there's something that will happen as we get on the other side of all this laughter, that we're either going to re-embrace, say, more traditional forms and re-embrace and restructure it, or it's going to go down real fast. My sense is actually it's going to get better. I think on the other side of all this laughter, people are going to discover things that are more than just the giggle or guffaw of the moment. They're going to start thinking like, okay, we've got these communities together, us riffraff. And I just don't see it that far off of folks that are willing to be self-deprecating, make fun of themselves, make fun of others, but all share in that common laughter, might start thinking, well, maybe we have something that's bringing us together other than just the laughter. Obviously, this is, again, just a working theory. But because comedians and tricksters, they sort of reset the table for you, if that makes any sense. Like a comedian can make you understand and laugh and recognize something you never would have thought or been willing to even hear out.
Right.
I really agree with folks who say race relations were made better by comedians.
100%.
Like, got people to laugh at each other in their different cultures. So if it's kind of like in fantasy novels, like the role of a wizard, like, you know, these odd characters that seem a little like odd, but they usually set the hero on the path that they need to go on. They reorient them to like, okay, you need to go over that next hill. Now, I think that's what's going on. Some of these will be, of course, like a better word, false prophets and trying to trick you into something pretty nasty. But I almost suspect just seeing the way the culture is developing with the new technology, that again, on the other side of this laughter, we're going to find something approximating God. And then you start to see, like, have the same thought of, man, we seem fragmented. Why can't we get together in this? Why did we even divide ourselves after? Why did we get so caught up in all these divisions and fights, intellectual fights?
Well, some of the division, I think, let's go back to the church comment about how there's so many little different churches and everything. I think that was out of necessity. Back in, 100 years ago, not everybody had a bunch of money, and the church actually, acted as the center of the community.
Yes.
People could find refuge and help there. Today, I don't know if it's some of the churches have embraced things that are more pop mainstream values, and the more traditionalists in those churches, didn't like it. So there was some splintering there. I think that's got something to do with it. But to your point about the comedians, I've maintained that the only person that truly will tell you the truth today is a comedian.
Yes.
Everyone else will lie to you. A comedian, they might rub the rough corners off and present it in a way, to your point, like presenting information in a way that people can digest it and laugh at it. I think there's something to that. I saw a chart the other day that was talking about just the content, the genres that were being created on Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, all that sort of stuff. Overwhelming murder thrillers, true crime, all that sort of stuff, and comedy. So I think that you have two types of people. You have the ones that have kind of something wrong and they want to steer into that dark path and go to that dark place. And then you have everybody else that's tired of all the gray, and they just look for something happier and better. So they're trying to laugh and they seek out the comedy. So I do think that there's a lot of different things going on.
Yes.
On those fronts. I do think that I'm glad more people are turning to the comedians for information. I was one of those people that got more of my news from Jon Stewart back in 2002.
Right.
I'll raise my hand gladly on that. I mean, fast forward about 20 years, I think we see that those institutions were failing, and now we're trying to take the rubble and build something back that we can all have faith and confidence in.
Well, and what I worry is that some of the things that bring back religion is like some great calamity. Like you really have to go through it again. Like you think life is hard. No, it's about to get real hard. And it makes people will think about the most fundamental things. But I hope that doesn't come. We all have our own personal calamities, of course, and things you go through in your own life. But I mean like big world historic stuff. I hope that is not necessary. Who knows? I'm not God. But I hope that is not necessary to try to bring people back into the fold and focused. And on top of this, you're getting this competing, I I would call it the religion of curiosity. It's what Elon Musk in many ways stands for. It's sort of that hope of science fiction that just we can ask the right questions, and in asking the right questions we might not be able to answer. We'll discover things. But all these could merge. Mm-hmm. Like it could be as you're trying to discover and ask the right questions that you come back to God, and that is happening. There are things like when it comes to Darwinian evolution, when it comes to intelligent design, there can be respectable conversations about like, what does this all mean? And how does science mesh with the faith of our forefathers? And even if you look at like, I think some of the more popular atheists and agnostics today, they're not the same polemicists. They're not the same bomb throwers that Dawkins and Dennett and Hitchens and Harris were in the early aughts, in many ways reacting to 9/11 and being pretty provocative about it, as much as some of those debates were fun. You look today at somebody like a Douglas Murray, or you look at Alex O'Connor. These folks are, for lack of a better word, like they seem to deeply respect and be knowledgeable of the faith they can't quite seem to jump into. And that seems hopeful in a certain way.
I think, to me, I've noticed that some of those atheists are, you say respectful, it's almost envious. It's almost like they wish they had the faith.
Yeah, no.
But they can't allow themselves to jump off into believing.
Yes. Yeah,
I mean,
there's a lot of folks.
You know, the definition of the word. That's why I truly do think that the more well-known scientists do embrace God and creationism, that's going to allow some of the pseudo-intellectuals to be like, okay, well, if they believe, then I can believe.
Right. Well, I think one thing that's been shattered is sort of and people still hold to this, is sort of a pure materialist worldview. I don't think that's tenable anymore, especially as we start understanding that information is at the bottom of so many things. Like we were talking about yesterday, the breakthroughs with using AI to understand all the potential proteins that could ever exist. Like and you start to see, oh, this is an information game at the bottom. You're like, well, where does this incredibly complex information come from? It doesn't seem to add up with the timetables of just basic evolution. Instead of it just being stuff and matter and energy at bottom, is in fact the argument of many great theologians is it's consciousness. A consciousness greater than we could even begin to understand is at the bottom of this cosmos. And then you get back to, like, as I said in the first hour, you see that life is not about knowing what's the ultimate truth, but it's actually about the loving relationships you foster, and that really give that deeper meaning. I think a lot of folks are seeing. And I think that's when God becomes more of a meaningful relationship and less a thought experiment, we might be on the right side of things, and maybe laughter is a catalyst to that.
But that, I mean, I shouldn't speak for other people, but to me, that's my relationship with God is a personal relationship. It's not a thought experiment.
Right.
It is a belief.
Right.
But under that belief is knowing. I mean, when I think you said it earlier this show, like you almost have to lose something in order to gain. Right. You know, it's hard for someone who's had everything given to them to not see or believe that they're responsible, that their parents are responsible for their destiny. They're not. You know, it takes being slapped in the face or having some sort of a limp or wound that life has given you. I can't remember who the writer or the poet was, but basically said anyone worth living, has a limp. No one worth hanging out with, had it good their whole life. What's the point of, having a conversation with someone like that?
272-9228 if you want to get in on the conversation. I just wanted to move off politics for a second, because I think as the world is being tested and overturned, and our ideas about what's real, what's not, keep shifting, especially with the march of technology and science, I think it's good to revisit these things and wonder what is the next step. Because I think for the longest time we've been living in the shadow of the Reformation. And even though I was raised Roman Catholic, I think I see why. The more history I read, I'm like, yeah, that was definitely needed. And in many ways, it was the faith that founded this country. But you got to wonder, that's, the 1500s is getting further and further in the rearview mirror.
I think we're all seeking truth.
Yeah.
On whatever venue,
well, that's the question.
Section of life you're in, you want the truth.
Well, that's the question. Who does? And, we'll see. How about this? Let's hit a quick break. We'll be right back.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings, 6 till 9, and afternoons, 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
Since 1966, Alabama Sheriff's Youth Ranches has been more than just a place to stay. It's been a place to belong. For children facing hardships through no fault of their own, our ranches provide more than shelter. We offer a warm home, a loving family, and a future filled with hope. With open arms, we welcome these young hearts, giving them the love, structure, and guidance they need to heal, grow, and thrive in a warm Christian environment. Together, we can give Alabama's children the chance they deserve, a chance to dream, to succeed, and to feel truly cherished. Every donation stays within Alabama, directly impacting the lives of the children who need it most. Join us in making a difference. Visit AlabamaSheriffsYouthRanches.org. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and download our app from your app store. We'd be honored to have you as a part of our mission to lift up Alabama's youth. And remember this, it's easier to build boys and girls than to repair men and women.
This is your roving reporter, and today I am talking with an elk. Hey man, Mr. Elk. I was just wondering, what do elk do to take care of their money? Well, like most smart folks, we call David Ernest. You mean Alabama's most favorite asset preservationist? That's him, man. We call him up at 334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839. I see. Yes, he is our preferred money man. The money man with the money plan. You've been paying attention. Well, could you give us those numbers one more time? 334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839. And I just want to try to give you a heads up, man. Oh, what's that? I'm not an elk. Not an elk, huh? Well, then, pray tell, what are you? Knights of Columbus. I am not even going to make a comment. Well, the baby liked it.
For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians, 1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state, while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
Rich Thomas Weather, brought to you by Clark Heating, Air, and Plumbing.
Hey, this is Robbie Clark. Spring is almost here. Stay cool with a spring tune-up with Clark Heating, Air, and Plumbing. Don't wait. Schedule today. Give us a call at 334-277-2125. Alabama certification number 09098.
Rich Thomas Weather. We are enjoying some really nice weather on these last few days of February, and even the first weekend of March looks great. Today, spring-like, beautiful. The warming trend continues high, up to about 77, plenty of sunshine. Mostly clear, 51 the low tonight. Tomorrow we have a weak front approaches. I guess there could be some widely scattered, isolated showers in the afternoon. Many towns stay dry, high 71. Behind the front, abundant sunshine Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Will be in the upper 60s Friday, low 70s on Saturday, and near 70 on Sunday.
CB&S Bank has digital banking solutions to help you keep up. Check balances, pay bills, and much more. Learn more at cbsbank.com. Charges and fees may apply from your cellular service provider. Contact your service provider for information. Member FDIC.
If it concerns your community, you'll hear about it on News Talk 93.1. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Based on the discussion we were just having, there's an essay that comes to mind. It's called Effing, E-F-F-I-N-G. It's not the dirty word. We're not just shortening the dirty word. Effing the Ineffable. It's by Roger Scruton. I'm going to share a little bit of this. He says, every inquiry into first principles, original causes, and fundamental laws will at some stage come up against an unanswerable question. What makes those first principles true or those fundamental laws valid? What explains those original causes or initial conditions? And the answer is that there's no answer, or no answer that can be expressed in terms of the science for which those laws, principles, and causes are bedrock. And yet we want an answer. So how should we proceed? He goes on to talk about how in music, you hear a great piece of music and it kind of takes you to a different place, or you see a great work of art like the smile on the face of the Mona Lisa, or the evening sunlight on the hill behind the house. And then this may be one of my favorite things somebody's written. It's up there. It's memorable. Roger Scruton writes, quote, anybody who goes through life with open mind and open heart will encounter these moments of revelation, moments that are saturated with meaning, but whose meaning cannot be put into words. These moments are precious to us. When they occur, it is though on the winding, ill-lit stairway of our life, we suddenly come across a window through which we can catch a sight of another and brighter world, a world to which we belong, but which we cannot enter. The whole essay is worth checking out, but there is something very true about just those few sentences.
Well, that was kind of sad at the end. Can't enter. You're there.
Well, while we're here.
You're there.
Yeah, and no, maybe that's the answer. But you also know what I mean. Like, we shouldn't despair too much when somebody passes away if you believe you're going to meet them after, right? But yet we do quite upset about it. I think everybody kind of knows why. Like,
who was it that said, part of the grieving is you have to, there's beauty in the grief because that also, is an indication of the love.
Yeah, exactly right. If you're really grieving over a loss, it means you had something to lose.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Let's go to, I think we got Charles the First on the line. Hey, Charles, how you doing?
Hey, Joey. Hey, Byron.
Hey, man.
The subject matter that you're on, I write on Quora, so I had written something about what you were talking about with the Pew Institute.
Yeah.
And you'll find this fascinating, I think. I was paying close attention and watched the CBS News state, I want to say it was March of 2020, that the balance of there being less persons church Christian oriented had moved 1 percentage point or something toward the other way, toward there being fewer. And then, like you said, a circumstance takes place, which was the pandemic. You get me? Like, from that point, we get to where we are, increased and balancing off right now.
Yeah.
Now, what I asked back then was, what was the determining factor that had caused us to get so low in March of 2020? And guess what it was, Joey? It was science. It was along the lines of Darwinism, evolution, scientific thought that was trying to displace or was displacing theological viewpoints. Have you got me?
Yep.
Now, in my opinion, the pandemic caused people to question some aspects of science, and that helped to put us to going to church more, to a greater Christian population that has, leveled off right now. And I completely agree with you with a Hermes Mercury-like figure, one that when you're in between and deciding what path to take, if you go the way that you didn't normally go, the Hermes Mercury figure is going to be playing tricks on you and showing you something on that path.
Yep.
Because you kind of chose a different path. Got me?
Yep.
And that comical way of taking you there and making you see it where you're not really feeling affected by that, is of utmost importance, just like what you're talking about. That's kind of what I wanted to tell you guys and reiterate and see what you had to say about it.
Oh, you're here, and we're on the same page. And what's fascinating is, like, if you dig back into your Bible with fresh eyes, with new eyes, because every time gets going, you're going to have new eyes when you revisit it. And you dig back into all the great stories of our civilization and traditions. The Bible is the foundation. And then Shakespeare, or, you know, all the great other myths that we might come across, I think you start to, you see that we're not the first that's gone through these things. And it's, that is somewhat comforting, even though it might be quite a tumultuous adventure ahead.
Yes, that's very well put, and I really enjoyed that whole area of talk. And just have a great day, everyone. And thanks for letting me give my input.
Thanks, Charles.
Thanks for the call. This part of the program brought to you by River Region Contracting. That's River Region Contracting, the premier roofing contractor here in the area. They're not associated with any other roofing company. You got to be working with Todd Clark there at River Region Contracting. Of course, you need to get that roof checked out. Like I saw the house behind me where I'm living right now is getting the roof redone. And I'm like, maybe it was just time, or maybe they just waited too long, but that's an expensive thing. So if you want to get ahead of any, say, costs, you need to do basic preventative maintenance. Now, every 3 to 5 years is pretty sound, but why not do it every year on an annual basis, especially with all the, how many seasons have we gone through in the last few months?
7.
Right, and then the storms rolling through. Given the Alabama climate, it might be good to get that on an annual basis checked out. And, of course, whether it's an asphalt shingle roof or a metal roof, there are unique problems that can happen with either of those, and River Region Contracting is ready to find any issues and fix it for you. And, of course, their inspections are always free, as are their estimates, and their insurance specialists there at River Region Contracting. So if they do find a problem with your roof that your insurance company might pay for, they can walk you through that claims process and make it a swift and easy experience. So call them up today. Again, that's Todd Clark and the team there at River Region Contracting at 356-8635. That's 356-8635. And be sure to tell them that Joey and Byron, those fellas on the radio, sent you. Again, 272-9228 if you want to get in on the conversation. That's 334-272-9228. Can I just do a wild 180? Is that allowed? My pen's going everywhere. The spring, it broke.
So long as you don't keep throwing stuff at me.
No, my spring got a little excited there.
Well, I'm sure there's a place you can go to get that repaired.
Yeah, I think so. But this one story. Smuggler caught trying to sneak $10,000 in cocaine onto a plane under his toupee.
I got to see this toupee.
It's kind of impressive. I'm kind of flabbergasted by how crazy this toupee is. Here, I'll just have to search for it real quick.
If it's not Kid from Kid and Play, man, I'm upset.
I'm just going to put in cocaine wig. Mark Norman's like, powder wigs. Comedy. Yeah. Here's the video. I can pull it up. And we're seeing him cut the toupee off. He's obviously already been apprehended. Wow. And this thing is like sewn.
On your head.
Yeah, this thing is like sewn down, sort of wig or toupee. And we're watching him cut away the fake hair. And when they, kind of peel it off, like opening a coconut or something. Look at that. That is so much coconut. And they did a full body scan on him, it looks like.
So you have brain tumors up there?
Yeah. Like, what do you got going on there, sir? Yeah, they saw it on the scan and peel his back. He is crying as they're doing it. That's the shot right there. Holy moly. That's a lot of cocaine.
I must be hungry. It looks like one of those little packets that you put on a toaster strudel in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does, actually. The New York Post was having way too much fun with this. They write, he's a cokehead, all right. Hair-raising footage captured Colombian cops exposing a drug smuggler who had hidden $10,000 worth of cocaine under a wig glued to his head. The suspect attempted to board a flight from Cartagena, or however you say that, to Amsterdam. Stopped by the anti-narcotics police. The footage showed an officer cutting through what appeared to be the man's hair and scalp with a pair of scissors, eventually peeling back the wig and revealing a stockpile of drugs. He had more than 400 doses of cocaine, valued again at 10 grand, 19 capsules that were camouflaged in a wig, the police said in a press release. These capsules contain a substance that, after being subjected to homologated preliminary identification test, tested positive for cocaine. Wow.
He was going where?
To Amsterdam. I mean, that's pretty creative. It's kind of impressive they caught it with the full body scan. That is, I've never seen anything like that. I guess it's better than stoning it up your bum.
Apparently not.
Yeah, with that full body scan, they would have found that too. It's like, what's that enlarged? You're full of cocaine, aren't you? Wow. More than 450 people have been arrested for drug trafficking this year, according to the commander of the Metropolitan Police there in Colombia. So there's still, people want drugs. And there are desperate folks that'll try to give them those drugs. Woo!
That's so dumb.
And real quick, speaking of dumb, Al Sharpton's DEI boycott plan.
Well played.
24-hour blackout on Friday, February 28th from 12 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. I'm just reading from the thing that's been put out by Sharpton and team. This is the first step to counter the attack on DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Here are the bullet points. Do not make any purchases. Do not shop online or in-store. No Amazon, no Walmart, no Best Buy, no McDonald's or other fast food stores. I don't know about that, sugar. No gas. No major retailers. Do not use credit or debit cards for non-essential spending. Try to buy all you need before Friday. You're just stretching demand up like...
Please tell me there were 5 bullets.
No, it's more than 5. But, if necessary, only buy essentials of absolutely necessary items such as food, medicine, and emergency supplies. If you must spend, only support small local businesses. And this is to make the corporations and banks hurt. Like, you're literally just pulling forward demand for anything anybody needs to the day before. Now, if you're going to try to do this somehow for months, you might hurt somebody. You might have them listen, but I don't think people are going to, not buy gas.
I don't think anybody's not going to buy anything because of this. Oh, man, this dude is...
We must use the power we do have and send an economic message with our numbers, as did Dr. King.
I mean...
I'm almost suspecting, is this a joke? Is this even real?
No, unfortunately. It's a joke, but it's real.
272-9228. That's 334-272-9228. Doing this show here, it's got me a little hungry.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what great place to stop by? Smokehouse Pit Barbecue.
Ooh.
That place is tasty. I mean, I hope you've been by there, folks, because they have it going on with that incredible menu. They're back to the original recipes there at Smokehouse when they first started. And they always have 5 brick pits running, cooking up, smoking up that great, pulled pork. Ooh. Ribs, good spare ribs. They're making up that camp stew.
Mm-hmm.
And then they got all the fixings, on the side, the fried okra and the mac and cheese. And, there's just so much you can imagine.
And it's stew. It's not soup.
Right.
Stew.
Oh, it's thick in a good way. Very good way. And, of course, don't forget, you can do lunch, sitting, dining in or to go, or dinner, dining in or to go. But Tuesday through Sunday, they do an amazing Southern breakfast. Now, for my uncle's birthday, we went to Auburn. It was a nice brunch place, but it had nothing on Smokehouse Pit Barbecue. They're like, you got to try their cheese grits. They're so good. I'm like, uh-huh. And I tried them, and I'm like, not as good as Smokehouse. I'm sorry I'm being rude here in this other establishment, but Smokehouse Pit Barbecue, they got it going on. They got breakfast biscuits customized. in any way. You get a fried bologna biscuit. You get a Conecuh biscuit.
Ooh.
Some American cheese on there. Then get a side of bacon and some cheese grits or something.
Some
I did that
eggs.
one morning. Oh, some eggs.
Conecuh egg.
They even have the
cheese.
Fat Boy breakfast, which is a sampler of all they have to offer, including a pancake bigger than your face, along with all the different breakfast meats they have on offer, and, of course, those cheese grits. Y'all check out Smokehouse Pit Barbecue today. Same location they've always been, Main Street there in Millbrook. Quick drive, too. Even if you're here in Montgomery, just a quick drive down the interstate.
Totally
Easy.
worth it.
Millbrook exit. It's right there on Main Street in Millbrook. And be sure to tell them that Joey, that fellow on the radio, sent you.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Hi there, I'm Kim Williams with Alabama Home Mortgage. For years, I've been asking you to call me at Alabama Home Mortgage because there is a difference in mortgage companies. When you call Alabama Home Mortgage, from the moment we pick up the phone, you will hear the difference. We are passionate about what we do. To us, you're not just another applicant. When you call on us, you are trusting that we have your best interest at heart, and we do. We treat our customers like family, and that's why our customers turn into family, coming back to us time and time again. We know you have many options when it comes to mortgage financing, and we appreciate the opportunity to earn your business. We are excited to hear from you. Give Alabama Home Mortgage a call at 567-4223. That's 567-4223. Or visit us online at myalabamahomemortgage.com to complete an application on your time. Our passion is just one difference that sets us apart from the rest. It's not just a slogan. Call Alabama Home Mortgage because, folks, there is a difference in mortgage companies. NMLS 1586-368, Equal Housing Lender.
Hey, this is Ray Bowles with Prattville Carpet. And since we've been advertising on Blue Water, our sales have increased dramatically. Blue Water has a large listening audience that is very faithful to their advertisers, and we greatly appreciate that. If you're thinking about advertising for your business, I would highly recommend Blue Water.
Our advertisers are our biggest advocates. Call us to find out how radio can increase your bottom line. Blue Water Broadcasting. Local folks helping local business.
Is your business feeling the heat of cyber attacks? Tired of worrying about ransomware, data breaches, downtime, and employee mistakes? GTI Managed IT Solutions has been your trusted partner since 1999, safeguarding and supporting businesses like yours from the ever-evolving threats in the digital world. GTI, your peace of mind is guaranteed. Call us today at 819-4650 or visit gtinow.com.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
News and talk without the static. The River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Let's go right to the phones and talk to Ray Bowles from Prattville Carpet. Hey, Ray, how you doing?
Man, I'm good. How you guys doing?
Life's all right. Life's all right.
I got a crazy question for you, Joe. You were always good at books and reading and taking tests, right?
Yes, to a degree.
Okay, me, not so much. Like, I was so bad that really mom and dad thought we would never get out of high school.
Ooh.
They were like Googling, looking up how to do GEDs and stuff for us. But Sailor just told me that she went to an AP English class to take a test that everybody was bombing to see if she could pass it.
Okay.
I'm like, what would possess you to do that? You stayed late from school to take an AP exam or test on Hamlet, a book you've never read, just out of curiosity if you could pass it. I'm like, maybe I wouldn't be able to read the test. I said, what'd you do on it? She said, I made a 62.
Oh, it's fantastic, though. She's never read Hamlet, and she got a 62?
I'm calling Angie when I get off the phone asking who her daddy is.
I've actually been studying up on Hamlet because I'm going to see opening night.
I don't get kids anymore. They don't go outside and play. They don't go out at night. They're good.
Nerd alert.
Nerd alert. Big time. Big time.
That's awesome, man. I like that.
Yeah, well, if you want to make a passing grade on your flooring, you need to call Prattville Carpet. You don't have to study. You don't have to do anything. We do it all for you. We'll give you all the cheat codes. And the next thing you know, you get a new floor down. Just that simple. How about that?
Just call them up at 285-8117. That's 285-8117. And be sure to tell them that you heard Ray Bowles here on the radio bragging about his daughter.
I ain't bragging. I'm upset. I could never do that. Never.
Well.
Yeah. No, I don't get it. I don't understand where she gets it from. It's got to be Auntie. That's all I got to say. It's got to be Auntie's side of the family. Well, guys, if y'all need anything, call us 285-8117.
Appreciate it, Ray.
Thanks, guys.
So what did we learn today? A few things. We didn't get to all the winning or the cabinet meeting, but there was a lot, and I didn't have enough time. We can get to all the winning. Is it too much winning yet? No, it's not. We're not quite winning that much yet. We want more winning. But we'll see. Let's go to line 3 real quick. You're on there. Who's this?
Hey, Joe, it's Josh.
Hey, Josh. How you doing?
Hey, doing well. I was reflecting on the statement you made about Al Sharpton, basically doing a blackout, not spending any money. Kind of beat him ahead to the game. Been doing that for the past 4 years, whether I liked it or not. And been just Fridays. That's Mondays, Wednesdays, and, Tuesdays and Thursdays, too. I have to go without food. And groceries and whatnot. So I figure let him know he's a little off to the game already.
Yeah, you were boycotting for it. Was cool.
Yeah. All right, guys. Y'all have a good afternoon.
Appreciate it, Josh. Oh, no. Bitcoin enters bear territory. It's on sale. It's on sale at a discount. That's all I'm saying. Let's go to line 1. You're on there. Who's this?
Hey, Joe, it's Woody.
Hey, how you doing?
I just left Men's Health.
Ooh.
Guess what? Crack of dawn ain't got a chance.
My
Great
goodness.
show.
Thank you for bragging about your prowess. Hey, let's see who this is. You're on there. Who's this?
I just called to tell you that you're wrong about everything, and I disagree.
You, I know who this, Kilroy.
I would never admit it.
Do you have reasoning behind your ridiculous statements and calling people dames online?
Not at all. I just don't like it. I don't like what you said. It makes me uncomfortable.
Well, bah! Right back at you.
Bye.
Appreciate it, Kilroy. Yeah, I was having way too much fun on Facebook today. Way too much fun. But, sometimes you just gotta let it all out. Y'all stay tuned. Happy Hour with Greg Budell and Pamela Dubuque. They should be next. I'll be back tomorrow, hopefully with Eddie. Yeah, you should be back after spending some much-needed time with the grandchildren. Y'all stay tuned.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusana, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm Jason Walker. Health officials in West Texas say a child who was